Is upon us here in the Palmetto State, and what could be scarier, or should I say more thrilling, than staring down your hated rival across the rink and preparing to deliver a big hit, fire a big shot, and come out with not just a win, but with bragging rights. It's all on the line tonight from Greenville in this special presentation of Gamecock hockey. We are live at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena for tonight's rivalry matchup between your South Carolina Gamecocks and the Clemson Tigers. Welcome inside the broadcast booth and welcome to the Upstate, everybody. I'm Brett Williams, joined by Michael Duggan. And Michael, first road trip for us and for the Gamecocks this year in an arena like this in downtown Greenville and against Clemson. Just can't beat it.
Oh, it's a big rivalry game. In-state rivals across all sports, basketball, football, you name it. Clemson and South Carolina dislike each other. It's going to be a long, physical game. Clemson is 3-4-1 coming into this game. South Carolina's 2-3. Both teams, it's a doubleheader. So we have a game tonight here in Clemson, and then a game tomorrow in South Carolina. So if either team could sweep this, could really turn their season around, put both teams above 500. But two losses in this and get swept the other way, and it could be a downhill year for either team.
And that's especially true with South Carolina having not played for another 2 weeks with fall break at the university last week. So this is only their second game in the month of October. We'll see how they come out tonight. In terms of the Gamecocks offense, Eric Patterson, one of the stars, but the Gamecocks also doing work on the defensive side, moving up and making offensive pressure.
Yeah, like you said, Eric Patterson, their senior, needs to have some veteran leadership. When you have big layoffs like this, it's easy to come out rusty. He's going to have to lead the team early. Kyle Ware, very talented defenseman, junior this year. He's leading the team in points, and they really like to get their defensemen involved. Him and Julian DePaulo, both big playmakers as defensemen. They're going to play on separate lines, so hopefully that'll spread out some of the scoring.
And in terms of defense for the Gamecocks, going to have to watch out for what you've been calling a three-headed monster for Clemson. They're getting a lot of their offensive production from three main guys. We expect to see a lot from them tonight as well.
Well, South Carolina likes to score off the power play. 9 of 18 of their goals coming off the power play. That's about 50%. Austin McCall, great distributor of the puck. He has 13 assists, 15 points on the year. 15 points on 29 goals for Clemson this year. That pretty much makes him a one-man power play.
Absolutely.
He's setting up everything for them offensively.
And it should be one fantastic game tonight. We'll see what the Gamecocks can do in transition defense, see what kind of team establishes the pressure and sets the tone for this game early. Going to be a fantastic one from Greenville. We are excited that you're with us here on the Capital City Sports Network. We'll be right back for Carolina Clemson after this.
Chitty bang. And we pretty much amazing. Yeah. Mind your manners. You hear me? And all the people should be raising their glasses. Flow crazy, celebrating the madness. I never thought I would deliver no classics. Then I hooked up with them and then delivered more classics. Yeah. I've been keeping it true. Hotel good, long as I can peep on the view. Like, damn, how high are we? You gotta gamble in this life, Charles Bar. I'm overprotected, through the dopest of methods. Now my vocal perfected, this is audio breakfast. Yes, so tell a hater here's a slammer. I know they hating on us, but mind your manners. I got a chest.
seconds are ticking away continuously. Your life is draining away. You still fail to realize the power lies in the present. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. You might be aware of the value of seizing the moment, but still, you show no sense of urgency to make things happen. So ask yourself, is this the life you want?
Arena in Greenville, everybody. I'm Brett Williams, joined by Michael Duggan here on the Capital City Sports Network for Carolina Clemson. We are just about to get puck drop going tonight, and first time for the starting lineups, beginning with your South Carolina Gamecocks. In goal is Gray Marquise, once again making a start for South Carolina, always solid in net. John Gibson, Julian DePaulo, Billy Curriger, James Hatton, and Kevin Catrone round out the starters. For the Clemson Tigers, Joseph Kaiser is in goal. Xander Buttress, Austin McCall, Ryan Wakeford, Luke Bauer, and John Rogeri. And those are your starting lineups. Heading to the opening draw, Austin McCall going for Clemson. And it will be Julian DePaulo for the Gamecocks. We are underway. Clemson gets the opening face-off. Rivalry matchup from Greenville. Here we go.
Face-offs are going to be something to watch in this game, Brett. South Carolina struggled against Georgia a few weeks ago when they played. We're going to have to see if South Carolina can win a few more face-offs this week.
Clemson controlling in the offensive zone to start things here tonight. Gamecocks trying to put a little bit of pressure, couldn't get that one out, goes back to Rogeri. Sends it in, bounces off of a couple Gamecock defenders. DePaulo got his stick on it, then moved it around. And now DePaulo going to send it across, and Kevin Catrone's going to take it into the neutral zone, but couldn't get in. The Gamecocks will make an early line change. Clemson sends it on back behind Kaiser, rotating it around. No clear puck control as it scoots back to the neutral zone. A couple of early checks. Going to see a lot of those, I'm sure, tonight in this rivalry showdown. Going on forward now with it, Xander Buttress moving in on Marquise. Good stick check from Kyle Ware working in. Pries the puck away, but it's right back to Buttress. Buttress moving it around, fires on Marquise. Got a stick on it and sent it back to the glass. And Carolina controls. Moving it forward, Ian Schneider now right back to Clemson and right to the gut of Gray Marquise.
Well, that's one of the guys we're going to have to watch. Xander Buttress, one of their leading goal scorers. He and John Rogeri are tied for the lead with 6 goals this year for Clemson. So those are going to be the two guys. Most of their plays are going to be set up by Austin McCall. He's a great distributor, like we said, 13 assists, and he's going to be looking for those two guys to finish it off as they've done all year.
Rogeri, the second most assists on this team with 6. So it really is McCall doing a lot of the distribution offensively for Clemson.
Yeah, and that's a big difference between Clemson and South Carolina. South Carolina has 6 players with multiple goals this season, but their leading scorers with only 3. Clemson, a lot more top-heavy with their goal scoring. So if South Carolina can shut down those few players, they're going to be able to put a strangle on that Clemson offense.
Neutral zone face-off originally won by Carolina, then back to Clemson, now back to Carolina in the neutral zone. Eric Patterson touching it for the first time tonight. Gives a little give and go with Kyle Ware. Now Patterson hitting the neutral zone a little bit low. Check there by Casey Heinold, and now Clemson moves it forward, but quickly sent aside once again by Kyle Ware. Now the Gamecocks moving forward, have a 3-on-2. It's quickly shut down numbers-wise, but a good shot in there coming from Curry, and then bounced away. Now back out and dumping in behind Kaiser, and the Tigers will go after it and get it.
We've seen a few hits already early here, Brett. South Carolina did a good job setting the tone early against Georgia. Georgia also had some very talented goal scorers when they came into to their matchup, and South Carolina was very physical early on, set the tone, and we're going to see if they can do the same thing against Clemson, because Clemson, if you let these big 3 scorers here get going early, it could get away from them really quick. So they need to be physical and they need to set the tone.
3 games in October. How about 1 against Georgia and 2 against Clemson?
Oh, that's a big month for rivalries, definitely.
And the Gamecocks certainly have had to play, albeit things cold, just given the floods in Columbia canceled 4 of the games, and then again after fall break, so they're coming back after 2 weeks. And we'll see the energy, what they bring tonight. Clemson now gets it up in front of their bench, but can't control it. Gamecocks thought they had it for a second and could not. Now played back across, neither team really able to establish a consistent control. Big hit leveled there, Aaron Beaver making his presence known for South Carolina.
It's not just the defensemen that can hit on this team. We're going to see physical play all the way across all 5 guys who are on the ice all night.
Chandler Paff sent it in for Clemson, and then it was bounced away off the stick of Nick Pizzo for the Gamecocks. Bouncing across the neutral zone still, and now picked up Nick Nard-Slicko, sends it down, bounces it off the Clemson boards, and still fighting for the puck. Got caught up under the skates of Travis Kearns as he was trying to get over the wall. It's still apparently trapped along the wall by a couple of Tigers. Now moving it down, sliding it back across. Not a lot of speed thus far in this one.
And this is the kind of pace that's going to benefit South Carolina. Clemson is averaging 4.5 goals a game coming in. South Carolina just 3.5. So Clemson definitely similar to what we said with the Georgia game. Clemson's the more, I think, the more offensively talented team. Part of that has to do with rust because South Carolina had so many games canceled. They've, been on the road, at home, off and on, weeks in between games. So, they scored 4 against Georgia last week. So maybe this will be the start of them turning it around offensively.
Face off in the offensive zone taken by the Gamecocks. John McLeod with a quick slap shot just went wide to the left of Kaiser. And Clemson's going to find a way to get the puck back behind their netminder, but the Gamecocks get a couple of sticks right there, almost took it back. Instead, it skips on around to Chandler Paff. And driven into the boards there by Alec Jarrett. Now another check there leveled by Brett Topolsky, but Clemson will come away with it and move the other way. Couple of sticks getting on it for South Carolina, controlling the puck once again, dumping down. And going after it for Clemson, Brad Van Rassel.
That's one thing that South Carolina did very well in their last game is that their sticks were very active. They broke up a lot of the passing lanes for Georgia. A couple of good steals there for South Carolina early in this game. That's going to be something else to watch.
Another big check in the boards, Eric Patterson. You mentioned not just defensemen. How about your star level in the Heat?
Oh, yeah.
Now Julian DePaulo sends it across to Patterson. The Gamecocks move it back the other way. Coming in along with him, Ian Schneider. And sent forward. John Gibson's down there. Schneider now rotating it around back up top. Sends it for Dave Cochran, now bouncing it around, scooting back. Cochran with it at the blue line. Kyle Ware just hanging on there. And now comes back in. Ware hanging on at the blue line. Clemson going after it. Now sends it back to the center. Got to Cochran. He played it right to Kaiser, who looked potentially slightly unaware of that, but then was able to block it away to the right side. Another good check there. Dave Cochran laying that one down. And returning the favor, John Ruggieri on Kyle Ware. Couple of good opportunities, but not a ton to speak of either way. A lot of just back and forth in the neutral zone thus far in this game. We are just about 5 minutes into the first period.
There's another couple players down. We're going to see a lot more of that. We've been saying it already, but we're going to keep saying it all night, is that this is going to be a physical game. These two teams, you don't think, when you think about Clemson, South Carolina rivalry, hockey is not necessarily the first sport you think of, but these are two physical teams, and they're going to really bring everything they have, especially knowing that it's going to be a doubleheader. So what we see tonight could even be amplified tomorrow night.
This is an interesting situation. Don't see that a ton in hockey. See a lot of teams play back-to-back nights, not usually each other. This one goes down to the right side of Marquise and in the glass. A couple players fighting for it. 2 Gamecocks, 2 Tigers. Now Tiger hits the ice and going to get it for Clemson now, Matthew Power. Plays it up toward the blue line. Can the Tigers keep it in? Not quite. Good stick work by James Hatton. He was trying to go one-on-one the other way. The Gamecocks will get it here. Now coming forward, this is Hickman. He shoots, and it goes just off the pad of Kaiser. Gamecocks will keep it in on the blue line, spinning it around. This is Grayson Curry. Hesitates. Curry shoots. Blocked up in front. Good attempt on the rebound by Kevin Catrone, but it's jammed down.
That was an excellent skate save there. He got his pad down, and for a few moments there was an opening there for Catrone, but that was an excellent save to get his pad all the way down and block that corner.
We'll have a big-time line change before, and it looks like we are going to have a penalty here, and it will be the first power play of the game for the Gamecocks as Matthew Power heads to the box for Clemson for a cross-check. So the Gamecocks, as we mentioned before, very good on the power play this season, really good on the penalty kill as well. Their special teams have done them quite well. We'll see what they can bring here tonight. And the first one will go out into the neutral zone and behind a pass really didn't get to the intended players that it was intended for.
Yeah, like we said, South Carolina's defensemen like to get into their offense too. So we'll watch for them to set up right in front of the blue line, make sure they keep it in on these power plays, and then they had a lot of crossing passes that went in for goals against Georgia, so watch for those kind of plays to set up again.
Ian Schneider rotating around the Clemson defense, now moves the puck toward Eric Patterson. Patterson lays it on back, settled down by Julian DePaulo. DePaulo back to Patterson, moves in. Patterson shoots high off the chest of Kaiser, bounces in front. Clemson will corral. Will they be able to clear it? Swinging it around the boards, and DePaulo's going to be able to corral it at center ice. Move it forward. He tried to pass it along, and we have a whistle. Good environment here at Bon Secours Wellness Arena here tonight.
It looks like we have another Clemson Tiger heading into the penalty box. This is going to be a 3-on-5 situation for South Carolina.
Looked like a slashing call there. That one's going to be on Jared Tallow. And how about this? 5-on-3.
Well, South Carolina's really going to need to capitalize on this situation. They, if they come away from a 5-on-3 without a goal, they're going to be really disappointed, and it could be a big momentum shift for Clemson.
Gamecocks win the face-off. It's sent back to DePaulo. DePaulo does a quick switch, now looks to his left. This is Hickman. Spinning it around now behind the net. This is Catrone, Kevin Catrone moving it, tried to go right across the net mouth. It bounced around. Gamecocks will try to keep it in, and they will. James Hatton now back to Kyle Ware. Hatton up top, DePaulo also on top, goes to DePaulo, shifts it back. Kyle Ware from the point, Ware fires, and it's blocked in front. DePaulo with a rebound shot, blocked once again by the up man for the Clemson defense.
Clemson's playing really smart defense here. Just pack it in. You only have 3 guys, so just don't let anything in around the goalie. Don't let him get any deflections in there.
Hatton pursued by Ryan Wakeford into the corner, now comes back up to DePaulo. DePaulo's got Kyle Ware on the other side of the blue line. He sends it there. Ware stops it, now shoots it in. Catrone, can he try to block it in? Great save by Kaiser, sticking his right foot out there to block it away. Back up top, Gamecocks keep it on the pressure. 14 seconds left in the 5-on-3. There will still be a power play after that. Going in front, Kaiser trying to poke it out, and he will. Gamecocks almost had a shot to get it in there. 5 seconds left in the 5-on-3. Clemson driving into the corner, and coming out and winning it is Austin McCall. He tries to go the other way one-on-one. DePaulo gets his stick and blocks it down. 1 Tiger out of the box. It is still a regular power play for the next 45 seconds for South Carolina. Marquis sends it on to DePaulo. Both teams make a line change. Now here comes South Carolina. 37 seconds to go in the man advantage. Kyle Ware slides it across. It bounces off the stick of Nick Pizzo. Pizzo now pursuing it, but quickly recovered by Casey Heinold, and the Tigers go the other way.
This has been an excellent penalty kill so far by Clemson.
South Carolina with one more chance, 22 seconds. Pizzo, and the puck goes away from him. Heinold once again getting involved in there, as was Rogeri. Now sending it the other way. Dave Cochran back at center ice for South Carolina. Lays it on forward. Now the Gamecocks try to punch it into the middle, but nobody there other than a couple players in purple jerseys. And the Tigers will send it away and kill off the 5-on-3. So a solid start on special teams for Clemson.
Well, that's gonna. We'll see if Clemson gets the first goal in this game. We'll be able to point back to that moment where Clemson had a 5-on-3 situation, completely killed the penalty without really any too good of chances for South Carolina. So if they get some momentum here, it wouldn't be surprising.
A back check there by Travis Kearns. Sends a Gamecock to the ice, and we have a whistle coming in from behind. I believe we have an offside call.
Well, Brett, it seems like both teams haven't come out with as much energy as we might have thought. There's been a lot of physical play, but not a lot of organized offense and not a lot of good chances either way. We've seen Kevin Catrone being a guy that's going to line up near the net and see if he can deflect any of those in. He had 2 shots on the corner of an open net, and Kaiser got his skate down and blocked both of them.
South Carolina going to rotate it around behind Marquis, now going after it. Play it up the boards. A couple players fighting for it, and it looks like it escaped over the boards and out of play. Yeah, it has been interesting. We've seen a lot of fast-paced play. Obviously, you're going to see that in hockey, but we've seen a lot of that at the Plex thus far in 5 games this year. And so far tonight just seems a lot more methodical, moving it up and down, and yet at the same time not as organized as you just said.
Yeah, I think these teams are going to take a little time. They're going to play 2 games in a row, so they feel they have some time to feel each other out. No one's going to be too aggressive because they don't want to be caught on the back end and give up the first goal of this doubleheader.
Clemson shoots that in. Marquis stands up and gloves it, and then is just going to hang on and freeze the puck.
Now something that Marquis did extremely well in the last game against Georgia. Stopping that puck, don't give up a lot of rebounds, don't give up any of those deflections that can lead to easy goals.
And Marquis was fantastic in the transition defense as the Gamecocks ended up giving up a number of breakaways to Georgia, and Marquis continued to slam the door shut. Kept the Gamecocks in that game. was eventually won by Georgia 5-4. Gamecocks have lost their last 2 after starting 2-1. Their wins come against Coastal Carolina and Vanderbilt.
Two different ways of scoring the puck for South Carolina and Clemson. Like you said, South Carolina gave up some breakaways. That's what Clemson's going to look to do too with 3 prolific goal scorers.
Another big check leveled there by Matthew Power. Already spent some time in the box, and otherwise has already leveled down a couple of good hits in this one. South Carolina sends it on back down the left side boards. Going after it now, Ian Schneider. Schneider sliding down, pursued by a couple Tigers, and they win the puck. This is Jared Tallow with it here. He sends it up. Here comes Clemson on the counterattack. 3-on-2 coming. Austin McCall with it. McCall tried to get forward. Great stick work there by Julian DePaulo. Who else laying out there to slap the puck away? Prevent a good opportunity, but the Tigers keep it in. It's sent up around. Now the Gamecocks will clear it out and moving the other way with a 2-on-1. Coming forward is Jacob Tengy. Tengy slides it toward the middle. Now coming up off the stick of John Gibson and almost got in there. A couple of Tigers sticks ended up sending it away.
Going back to that break that Clemson just had, you normally see in a 3-on-2 that the 2 Clemson defenders are going to stay in between or the 2 South Carolina defenders are going to stay in between the 3 Clemson offensive players, but you saw Julian DePaulo drift over because Austin McCall had the puck on the right. He's there, he's the man that's going to be on the point. He's the man that's going to set up most of the goals. So he started drifting. He knows you've got to break up those passes because he's an excellent passer and he's going to give their goal scorers chances near the net.
And take this face off to the left side of Joseph Kaiser, and the Gamecocks will win it off the stick of Brett Topolsky. Now bouncing around, Alec Jared comes out with it, and a whistle for a hand pass is called. That'll send it out back into the neutral zone for a face-off. 9:13 remaining in the first period. No score, Carolina and Clemson from the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. And talk about back-to-back nights, couple of different venues here. This in downtown Greenville, and with the big empty space, if you will. Certainly some Clemson fans here, but not able to create that intimate environment that Carolina fans usually do at the Plex.
Yeah, very different environment, but this is an extremely beautiful arena, so
absolutely.
It's lucky that Clemson gets a facility this nice to play in for a club team.
Clemson moving forward, had a chance to break away, but Chris Hildreth couldn't quite get it as the pass was a little bit too far in front of him, and Carolina going to come the other way with it. Jacob Tengy moving it across into the offensive zone, poked away. Now Tengy goes back and gets it off the back wall. Now coming around, Tengy hesitates, now goes back to the center. Dave Cochran couldn't get there. Nick Citron got his stick in there and sent it away. Clemson almost had a chance coming off the bench.
That's not going to be South Carolina's strength. Tengy coming in, trying to make something on the break there. South Carolina scores most of their goals when they get their offensive sets going, especially in the power play. They don't really have any guys who have emerged as, big-time breakaway goal scorers.
Clemson trying to go 1-on-3 here in their offensive zone. That didn't work out too well. Kyle Ware coming out with it. Slaps it all along to Tengy, but taken right back by the Tigers. Now swapped on behind Travis Kearns. Going after it, Dave Cochran. Cochran bounces it off the wall, going back to the blue line. Clemson sends it on in, and that goes behind Marquise. Now pursued by a couple of Gamecocks. Good hard check there by Andrew Rasico. Now comes out with it. Chandler Paff goes on behind Marquise, now sends it up. And it's taken away by Aaron Beaver in South Carolina. Beaver will just dump it in, get the team a line change. Clemson will take back over and reset.
A couple of uncharacteristic sloppy passes there in the defensive zone for South Carolina. It was pretty fortunate that Clemson didn't really get the chance to make anything of them.
Huge open ice check by Kevin Catrone. Slams Paff to the ice. Didn't appear to do a whole lot. It went back behind Marquise and now taken by Clemson. Now sent along and recovered by the Gamecocks. Coming forward in the neutral ice. Gamecocks trying to get it moving forward. James Hatton going after it, as was Ryan Wakeford of Clemson. Now a couple of checks. Catrone with another big hit. Puck is loose and won by Clemson. Matthew Power bounces it on down the ice. He's got Alex Swindeman. Swindeman coming forward. Leg saved by Marquise. Now Grayson Curry goes after it. Goes up to Hatton. He slammed into the boards but didn't take the full brunt of that hit. Clemson back in control and back into their defensive zone, now moving it forward. And they'll have nobody there, and the Gamecocks will get a chance to reset.
Like we were just saying a few minutes ago, we're getting deeper into this first period and still haven't seen a lot of great organized offensive sets from either team. We've seen a few breaks, but the teams haven't been able to control the puck. It's been a lot of passing back and forth to the other team.
Tripping penalty waved off at center ice. Deemed incidental. Now Clemson moving forward. As the puck squirts away from Austin McCall there. Now bounces off a couple of Tiger sticks. Ian Schneider trying to get through past 3 of them, and he almost did. Gamecocks will control it back, send down just to the left side, the right side of Kaiser. Clemson coming out with it now, Jared Tallow. Tallow jammed into the boards by Eric Patterson, and Patterson will not win the puck. It'll go back to Tallow, and Tallow moves it towards center ice. Now squirts on through. John Ruggieri going after Ruggieri. Quick shot on Marquise. Quick save by the Gamecocks netminder. South Carolina will get it off the bounce. Now send it towards center ice where it's gloved down by Clemson and kept in. Julian DePaulo goes back after it. Now sends behind. Kyle Ware plays it on back up towards center. Try to get a breakaway going. Instead it's grabbed by Christian Suda and kept in for Clemson. Now Carolina going to come forward to it. Into center ice and moving forward now. Just as Julian DePaulo plays it through one Tiger. Now comes around. He's got Schneider in front. Tried to get it to him. It squirted through. And instead it goes back to John Gibson at the blue line. Gibson down to DePaulo. DePaulo swinging it around. Now wide open on the right side. And slammed around was Tengy. Now coming around to try to get it to DePaulo. He hits the deck. Bounces up forward. Gibson going after it. As was Patterson. Now going the other way. Clemson 2-on-1. But the puck squirted to the side. Still an opportunity up in front. Marquise squoned it away. Tigers coming up with it. Back to center. A slap shot and he fanned on it. And now shoots high and off the glass. That was Suda up at the point. Clemson still with an opportunity. This is Path. Path moving it around. Gamecocks will end up getting it and sending it the other direction. Not quite, not for long. Casey Heinold back slap shot. Marquise once again stones him on the right side. So Marquise getting in a couple of good saves here as Clemson with some great opportunities.
Yeah, now we're starting to see the pace pick up a little bit as both these teams are getting into the flow of the game now.
McLeod was headhunting Xiaowei Salini. He jams him into the boards. Check that. That was Andrew Rasico. And Rasico now jammed on by a couple of Gamecocks as well. Alec Jarrett getting involved in that. South Carolina trying to control down low. It's John Gibson. Plays it up the ice. Jarrett hits, almost looks like he's hit his head into the wall. Now he's back up. Going after it and now slamming into a Tiger. Puck goes back towards center ice. Gamecocks will take it back. Thought their teams were making a line change. They do not. South Carolina will retreat back into its defensive zone and play it across.
Got a lot of continuous play without too many substitutions from either team.
3:57 left here to go in period number 1. McLeod sends it on down. Alec Jarrett trying to move the other way. He does not have numbers. Jarrett shoots instead, and Kaiser blocks it away high and behind. John McLeod trying to chase it down for South Carolina. Puck is loose. Clemson wins it. It's Nick Citron moving it out for the Tigers. Now moving it forward. He doesn't have numbers on this side. South Carolina moving it forward. Kyle Ware. And bounces it down, but the Gamecocks will change lines. Luke Bauer recovering it for Clemson, moving forward. A couple players get tangled up. Now we go to the near side boards. Bounces on behind Gray Marquise, chasing after it Dave Cochran. Cochran slides it down. Rogeri goes after it.
Here's a good opportunity for South Carolina.
And now moving forward, Jacob Tengy with a quick shot, and it's gloved by Kaiser, and then he's hit by a couple of players. No penalty called. Aaron Beaver won the puck at neutral ice and then just sent it all the way forward to Tengy. Really good opportunity for the Gamecocks in transition. Kaiser will hang on. A
long stretch of continuous back and forth play there. I'd like to go back a minute to a play that John Ruggieri, he was coming in and a missed pass by South Carolina let him get the chance to put a shot on Gray Marquis. If you're Gray Marquis, you got to be like, hey, this is one of their top goal scorers. We need to put a body on him and not let him get just a free open shot on the net.
That's what Marquise does. Shuts down even the best of offensive opponents. Good find here in his senior year, in his first year with the team. Gamecocks will win this face-off, blocked up in front. Good job by the Clemson defense, really stopping a lot of pucks from reaching Kaiser. That's been a strong suit for their defense tonight. Marquise tries to glove it down and is able to freeze. Dangerous look there as Marquise couldn't swallow it. Ended up knocking it down, almost had an easy poke check for the Tigers.
Well, Grayson Curry tried to corral the puck right in front of the net. He needs to let Marquise just take care of that, because if a Clemson player had come in, even with a hard check in the back, that would have pushed the puck right in.
So South Carolina survives that threat. 3:01 left here in period number 1. Face off to the left side of Marquise is won eventually by South Carolina. Nick Nard-Slicko makes a quick move to dodge Matt Wilson. Good job to keep the puck there. Now South Carolina moving it forward. Beaver sends it up. And Jacob Tengy moving into the offensive zone. Now taken by Pizzo. Pizzo shoots right to Kaiser. Tengy was firing and couldn't quite poke check it in. Jacob Tengy had 2 opportunities right there. Nard-Slicko sent it in. check that Pizzo.
And we've seen that a few times tonight from Jacob Tangy. He's really trying to push the pace and put some pressure on this Clemson defense.
We'll have another face-off here to the left side of Joseph Kaiser. Eric Patterson going it for South Carolina against Matthew Power. It's won by the Tigers. Clemson swings it behind their own net. Now moving it around, this is Matt Wilson with the puck. A couple Gamecocks trying to get involved. Big check, Eric Patterson. Patterson going after Matthew Power.
We said Patterson needs to set the tone early. I think he's did a pretty good job of it with that hit.
Certainly as a team leader in a game like this, that's exactly what you want to see. And Schneider trying to make his way through a couple of Tigers, gets through one. Now going after John Ruggieri. Will he be able to get it? Not quite. Tigers make a nice move around Patterson, setting up for a check into the ice. A check into the boards, rather. Patterson a little bit light on that one. Schneider now. Schneider gets nailed. Ruggieri laying down the law there. Skates back up toward the neutral zone. Now going after it. The Gamecocks send it to the right side of Kaiser and behind. Going back up toward the blue line. Puck is loose. Tigers will corral and go 2-on-2 the other direction. Couple players tied up in open ice. Looks like they got their jersey stuck on it, and Clemson scores. Puck got just away from the two players tied up, and a quick slap shot gets past Marquise. I don't know if he saw it, but it's 1-0 Tigers.
It's the simple mistakes, Brett, that can set up goals. Just not able to handle the puck there, and a Clemson South Carolina player got tied up. A loose puck drifts out. Easy one-timer, and it didn't look like Gray Marquise even reacted to that puck. I don't think he knew that Clemson had possession of it.
It was just an odd situation with where those players were, and suddenly the puck squirted out right to the stick of Xander Buttress, and you know how he is in terms of scoring goals. Now takes over the sole possession of the team lead at 7 on this season.
Well, now we're going to have to see if John Ruggieri gets in there and starts getting a little more aggressive, see if he can tie him up.
So 1-0 Tigers, and that's getting the Tiger home crowd involved in this one. So South Carolina will be playing from behind here early. And we are late in the first period, I should say. Minute and a half down to go. We'll see if South Carolina can try to answer before we hit the break. Puck bouncing off a couple of Gamecocks around center ice. Now moving it. Tigers get it in their defensive zone. Moving forward, Casey Heinold sends it forward, and the pace is dramatically slowed down since the goal, seeing what we saw for the majority of this period. Going after it now, Christian Suda.
Doesn't seem like the Gamecocks, with just a minute left in the game, are playing with that much urgency to try and get a goal before the period ends.
That might change right here. Kyle Ware moving it forward. Now the Gamecocks trying to set up the offense. One Tiger goes down. That one sends all the way across back toward the blue line. Instead, Clemson's going to get it. Jacob Tangy has to retreat on defense. Here come the Tigers. This is Chandler Paff. Paff shoots it. Marquise blocks it away. Pizzo now to Jacob Tangy. And Tangy goes back into neutral ice. 44 seconds to go here in the first period. Now sliding on down. Pizzo lays it on for Beaver. Beaver to Kaiser. Puck is open in front. Gamecocks shooting it around. It still stayed in front of Kaiser. Not sure who kept it there. Now everybody goes down and it scoots back to center. 30 seconds to go.
Kaiser was on his butt there. He had two legs just sitting there on the ground. It looks like he wasn't in position to block anything, but South Carolina could not get control of the puck.
Now Carolina dumps it in. 19 seconds to go here in the period. They'll change lines. Couple of fresh legs for this final surge. 15 seconds. Good move by Luke Bauer. Spin move to keep the puck. And now Clemson moving the other way. They'll have one potentially 3-on-2, now 3-on-3 opportunity to close the period. Goes down to the right side of Marquise and behind. And there won't be any more opportunities left as the first period comes to an end with the score. The Clemson Tigers 1 and the South Carolina Gamecocks 0. So quite a period here. We saw not a lot of organized offense per se. Clemson found a way in a very strange possession, but it worked for them, and they get the opening strike from Xander Buttress. When we come back, we'll have the first intermission report. We'll give you a recap on how we've gotten to this part in the game, and we'll have a special feature for you as we get ready for the second period. This coming up next on the Capital City Sports Network.
I'm a
5 in the corner? Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time you come around, I'm like, ooh, ooh, baby, ooh, ooh, baby. When I see you break it down, I like you do, baby, you do, baby. Papa told me, boy, don't never let down your guard. But when you touch my hand and talk that talk,
I gotta knock it in my knees and I wobble in my walk.
wobble.
Wobble in my, wobble in my, wobble in my, wobble in my. When you touch my hand and talk me talk, I gotta knock it in my knees and I wobble in my walk.
It's like my head back been drinking out the bottle. I swallow some strong drink, but really just my motto. She lotto, jackpot, grand prize, champion, franchise, born ready. Yeah, she get it right now, on time. Early AM, breakfast after the mayhem. Baby, cause they don't make them like you, I hope that you hate them. Black Costa's a virgin, I keep them twerking, they working. I swipe it perfect, go ahead and purchase, girl, it's on me. Yeah, it's my dime. Damn, if I'm wrong, yeah, it's alright. When you go down, down in my mind, do what you want, that's what I like. Every time you come around, I'm like, ooh, ooh, baby, ooh, ooh, baby. When I see you break.
Well, welcome back to Greenville, everybody. We are live at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. It's the first intermission between your South Carolina Gamecocks and the Clemson Tigers, with Clemson leading 1-0. I'm Brett Williams with Michael Duggan, and so far what we saw in the first period, Xander Buttress striking for the Tigers, almost kind of an odd play as the puck moved into the Clemson offensive zone. A couple players got tied up and the puck just got up to an open stick. It happened to be Buttress, and now he is the team leader in goals scored, just beat Gray Marquis. Gamecocks puck control really hasn't been fantastic in this first period. That's usually what's going to happen in a situation like that.
Yeah, South Carolina's come out and looked, it seems like a little sloppy in this game. They had a 2-week layoff before Georgia, another 2-week layoff now, and it just doesn't seem like their passes are crisp. They're not as organized on offense. We've seen Jacob Tanguy get into the zone and try and push it a little bit, but it hasn't resulted in any real plays. They haven't been pushing it back to the blue line to their defensemen like they like to do. I think South Carolina needs to try and slow down. They're getting a little too aggressive if they, set up their plays. They haven't had any power plays yet, which has been a big factor because South Carolina scored half of their goals off power plays this year. If Clemson can just play scot-free, then it's going to really slow down South Carolina's offense again.
Actually, South Carolina did have the 5-on-3 power play in that period, but they had the, Clemson got to give credit on that penalty kill because Joseph Kaiser really hadn't had to face too many great shots inside. He's gotten a couple of good saves here, but the defense was really in front of him, just preventing a lot of pucks from getting there. Even one time when he was just flat on his back and couldn't get back up, he had 3 Tigers in front working the stick and prying it away. South Carolina wasn't able to get anything on that opportunity either. And in terms of Clemson moving it the other way, they've had the pace advantage in this. Like you mentioned, South Carolina coming out potentially a little bit slow, and it's just been kind of odd seeing the hockey just moving up and down, a lot of neutral zone possessions early. Clemson eventually able to get the most out of that moving forward.
Yeah, you mentioned that pace. I meant to say that South Carolina had no power play goals in this, but you're right. They did have the 5-on-3, and that's when we really saw Clemson start to pick up the pace. It was pretty slow back and forth early, and then once that happened, the momentum shifted. Clemson really started to get into it, and they controlled the puck, I think, a little bit more in that period. And when you have more possessions, you have more crisp passing. Even fluke goals like that, it's just a numbers game. When you get more opportunities, you're going to get more goals.
I think what South Carolina is going to certainly have to do is to continue to get the offense going, get the intensity going. Eric Patterson really doing that, laying down a couple of hits, and we'll see if he and the Gamecocks can keep that up as they try to dig themselves out of a 1-0 hole. When we come back, we will have the second period action and hopefully a little bit of a football preview for you guys here on the Capital City Sports Network. Second period getting ready to drop the puck here at Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Brett Williams and Michael Duggan here with you on the Capital City Sports Network. Thanks for being with us. 1-0 Clemson the score as we go to the second set of 20 minutes. Clemson controlling it back in the neutral zone, but not for long. Gamecocks will get it, and South Carolina will now send it forward. Coming forward, John McLeod. Now they're coming out with a lot of intensity here. Kaiser had to get up and block it down at his chest. Now sent behind, and Julian DePaulo coming up back to get it at center ice. John Gibson drops it down. Now going back to get it is Brett Topolsky. Topolsky rotating it around, now goes to McLeod. Clemson will move it around, Austin McCall. Tigers trying to get it, a couple good checks there for South Carolina. Starting to see that intensity coming off right off the bat here in the first minute of the second period. Good rotation there by Luke Bauer moving out of the way. South Carolina with a good opportunity on the back check, but the stick broke. Alec Jarrett has to go back to the bench. And now Clemson moving forward on the counterattack. Good stick work, a couple of moves there by Xander Buttress. Grayson Curry and Gray Marquise combined to shut him down. And now the puck squirts free and recovered by the Gamecocks. Coming forward on down the boards. Bounces around between a couple of players. Now DePaulo has it. Sends for Curry. Buttress hits the deck. DePaulo loses his stick as the puck sends all the way back up toward Marquise and then back down.
And we have a whistle. I don't think that was much of a lost stick as it was DePaulo, sending a message there with a big check in open ice where the puck wasn't even there at all, and then dropping his stick on the ground like he was saying, you guys aren't going to come in here in our zone and do that again.
The Gamecocks certainly want to come into this arena and get the win tonight. They'll have to get a goal back and then some. Down 1-0 here. It was going to have a neutral zone face-off on the Clemson side of the ice. And it is won by South Carolina. Grayson Curry slams it on down the line. Now setting up, Eric Patterson going forward. He's got a 2-on-1. Patterson comes forward and it's blocked away. Good body job by Christian Suda to slam that back away. Gamecocks will keep it in at the blue line. And now spin around. Going back after it once again, Casey Heinold for the Tigers. And now back up and played back down by Nick Nard-Slicko.
Not the best pass by Kyle Patterson. We've seen South Carolina scoring on crossing passes like that, but that one, he didn't get it down under the stick. He shot it right up into his body.
Clemson sliding it across, and a quick slap shot from Alex Swindeman goes right to Marquise and away. Now, one interesting connection between these two squads, some of their best players. In the case of the Gamecocks, Eric Patterson. In the case of the Tigers, Austin McCall. Best friends growing up, played a lot of hockey together, including a team that ended up in a national tournament.
Yeah, Patterson and McCall played against each other for a while in neighboring towns, didn't live too far apart, and then they started playing together. Julian DePaulo also on that team, and so a lot of connections between these two teams, and I'm sure that's amping up the rivalry a little bit.
There's a Columbia Cyclone, so a little bit more home to the Gamecocks there, and apparently Patterson and McCall still very close. But, friendly rivalry, if you will, in this situation. Now the Gamecocks with a little bit of a breakaway 1-on-2, and it's sent high up behind the glass. South Carolina trying to rotate it back down. Instead, Clemson will get it out.
It's probably no accident that those two, Eric Patterson and Austin McCall, two of the leaders for each of their teams playing together, playing on an extremely competitive team in high school.
That one swoops around. Now taken by Kyle Ware. Ware coming up in front, shoots high on Kaiser, blocked in front. More Clemson sticks getting to it, a little pushing and shoving. Now you're talking about throwing a stick, a couple players throwing a stick. Will we have coincidental minors here?
And on that play, Kyle Ware, he was pretty quiet in the first half. I was thinking throughout, we haven't heard a lot from Beaver. We haven't heard a lot from Kyle Ware. Not too much from Julian DePaulo in the first period. Some of South Carolina's best players didn't quite get going early on, but, we've seen DePaulo with a big hit. We've seen Kyle Ware have two opportunities in the Clemson zone. So I think they got a little rejuvenated, got a little bit more focused when they came out for the second period.
And there will be coincidental minors. There's a couple players sent to the box. It'll be Jared Tallow's second trip there tonight for the Tigers. And we will have 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes. 17:20 to go here in period number 2.
And all three of those players for Clemson and Carolina that played together in high school, they were on the same penalty kill team. So they have that connection. So both might know how each other are going to play this a little bit.
Now moving forward, this is Austin McCall. Dave Cochran there to guard him. Now coming forward, Kyle Ware goes back to McCall, who swoops it behind Marquise, shifts direction, now up top. Clemson playing it down. Good passes up in front. Now blocked away and off the stick of Nick Pizzo. Now Pizzo moving it forward for the Gamecocks. Trying to go 1-on-2. Now dumps it in down. Jacob Tengi going after it. Pizzo going to go back after it. Dodge a huge check from Bauer, but ended up still hitting the deck. Now Kyle Ware with a shot. Kaiser didn't really have a shot to stop it, but it went well to his right. Bauer really providing the stick checks there, and now Pizzo goes down again. Bauer drives Pizzo into the boards again. Pizzo looked like he wasn't too happy about that. Luke Bauer really making his presence known here.
And you got to think that a 4-on-4 is going to be an advantage for Clemson. Clemson has some really talented forwards that can score. We already said Xander Buttress, John Ruggieri, and then Austin McCall leading the way. That if these guys can get out in a little more space in the 4-on-4 like he's doing right now. But Austin McCall not able to get anything going in that particular opportunity.
And we have a whistle that goes down in behind Kaiser. 43 seconds left in this 4-on-4. How about that line, though? Patterson, DePaulo, McCall. I would like to see those three guys playing on my team.
Oh, yeah. You know, we say it every week that Eric Patterson provides the leadership, but Austin McCall does the same thing for this Clemson team. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. 13 assists in the first 8 games. Like, that's the kind of guy you want controlling your puck.
This face-off will be battled for quite a long time. Clemson will take it. It's just to the right side of Marquise. Now it goes behind him. John Ruggieri going after it. Kyle Ware lays him down, and Ware scoots it along the boards and picked up by McLeod. McLeod pokes it forward, now tries to work his way through the Tigers. Couldn't work his way all the way through, and Christian Suda will get it and send it back the other way. Now bounced on down, going after it, Ruggieri. Ruggieri has a shot. Marquise swallows it, and then some extracurricular activity. Ruggieri sends a Gamecock down. Now the Gamecocks retaliate. There's Carolina Clemson we've been waiting for.
Ruggieri seemed a little unprompted. He let his shot off and it was blocked, and then he just went right after John McLeod.
And we'll see, will he be sent to the box for that? I do believe he will. Will a Gamecock also be sent to the box? I believe he will be as well. So Ruggieri goes for Clemson, and John Gibson going to take the penalty for South Carolina. And now we're going to be dealing with a little 3-on-3.
At this pace, we're going to see maybe Eric Patterson and Austin McCall going 1-on-1 if we keep getting this many penalties.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Now we talked about the pace earlier in this game. If you want to see something with faster pace, go 3-on-3. You've seen that in the NHL. They've been starting to play overtimes 3-on-3. Very first night they did that, I would believe it was the Flyers and the Lightning. They were just going up and down the ice, breakaway after breakaway, and finally the Lightning ended up winning that game.
Oh yeah, so this is going to be a really big opportunity. 17 seconds only for the 3-on-3, but even once that's done, we're going to have another minute 43 of 4-on-4. So I'd be surprised if we don't see a goal go in the next 2 minutes.
I guess you got to give the referees credit. They're not going to show any favoritism here tonight.
They're also showing that they're not going to take any nonsense between these two teams. You know, it's going to be physical, but you got to keep it in the field of play.
For all we talked about that, it does not appear like they're actually going to go to 3-on-3 play. It looks like they're staying 4-on-4, which is disappointing. But so it is. Grayson Curry will take it away. He moves it forward. Oh, there's the speed. And Curry tries to send it all the way down. He does, right to the crease where Kaiser has to swallow. And it looked like Casey Heinold thought twice about laying down a late check to Curry.
Yeah, I think these refs are starting to get their message across that let's keep it clean here, boys. We know we want to play physical, but it's, got to keep it when in between the whistles.
We'll see what happens when the penalties end up expiring here in 8 seconds. Will we go to 5-on-5 and then somehow go back to 4-on-4 before the other set of players gets released? Puck is originally won by Clemson, now going into center ice. Now here comes the first set of players. So we're back to 5-on-5 here. And then sending forward, now gloved by Marquise. And now the net goes off its moorings. A couple players getting into it here. Chandler Paff and Grayson Curry bump shoulders.
Chandler Paff, actually someone I went to high school with.
There you go.
We had a class together, worked together at Knight Stadium, the minor league baseball team up in Charlotte.
How about that? And speaking of minor league and people believe Austin McCall, more connections for him. He was a high school classmate of our own Robert McCachran, who's on the crew here tonight. And we're going to hear from Robert during the second intermission about minor league hockey, which is the venue that we're in here tonight.
Well, I guess that's the good thing about in-state rivalries is, a lot of the players get to know each other, and even some of the crew gets to know each other.
There you go. That one's shot back toward Marquise. He blocks it toward the left side. Now fight for it behind is won by Curry. Curry's been all over the ice tonight for South Carolina. And Clemson knows it, slams him into the boards right in front of the Clemson fans, who very much like the Carolina students have followed Gray Marquise around the ice, trying to stay behind him or at least off to his side. It's a little bit harder here with seats coming up right behind both nets in the arena. Can't really do what they do at the Plex and get right behind the goaltender.
Yeah, it's a much different setup than South Carolina's used to playing in here, but they seemed a little slow early, but I think they've adjusted to the environment so far in the second period. They've come out with more energy, and they haven't let the Clemson fan base affect them at all.
Hard to say. Clemson has to get used to this being their home arena, but this is only their second home game all year and their last home game all year. The pavilion where they normally play is closed, and this arena here in Greenville also going to be where the Clemson Tigers men's basketball team plays this year, while Little John Coliseum is under renovation. So this building getting a purple and orange makeover for sure. Puck goes back down into the Gamecocks defensive zone, now goes back toward neutral ice. Taken by James Hatton. Hatton coming forward, slips his way between a couple of Tigers, sends up and shoots, but it's blocked in front by Jared Tallow and company. Sent back toward the blue line. Now the Gamecocks taking it back up. Beaver hesitates. Check that was Hatton. Now slipped through. Tangy tried to keep it in. He could not. Bounces off a couple of sticks. Clemson tried to go the other way with it, but Rasico can't control. Hatton still in center ice fighting for the puck. He's got it. Now going by Kyle Ware. Both players dodge a tech. Ware sends it high and off the ball. Couple fresh legs coming onto the ice as the puck goes behind Kaiser. Now the Tigers take it up front.
Hatton had a really good opportunity there. A good defensive play by Clemson to stop that pass, but he had Kevin Catrone wide open right next to the net. It could have been an easy goal if not for a Tiger stick that got there.
Tigers trying to reset. Gamecock still putting pressure on them. And that puck scoots all the way through. Gamecocks will go after it, and Clemson will change lines. Carolina's had a few better opportunities than Clemson here in this second period, which is 6.5 minutes old. And Dave Cochran now with it back at the defensive blue line for the Gamecocks. Tigers get it at center ice, moving it forward. Here's Alex Swindeman. Swindeman sends it wide of Marquise to the right. Couple of players fighting for it. It gets trapped into the near side boards. Poke checking. Who wins it? South Carolina will. Nick Pizzo coming the other way. Quickly taken away by the other number 14, Matthew Power, and played down where there were no Tigers waiting for him. Tigers will change once again. Kyle Ware sends it all the way back down the ice, and that will undoubtedly be icing.
That's one thing that South Carolina's done well so far. They've won some of those loose pucks up against the boards, but it just, hockey is a really unpredictable sport that way, because we've seen South Carolina getting some of those loose pucks, breaking up passing lanes, tips. Jacob Tangy had a really great tip that was almost a South Carolina opportunity down there, but the one loose puck that drifts out right to Clemson's best scorer, best shooter, and he puts it right in the net. So you just never know which one of those opportunities. That's why you got to try and play as clean as possible.
Clemson almost had a good shot there, just went high right off the face-off. And speaking of going high, that one went up behind the Clemson bench and then bounced down out of play. As I mentioned, John Rogeri right behind Buttress in the scoring. And as for Buttress as well as Ryan Wakeford, two Clemson seniors that will actually graduate here in December. This is their last time playing at home. They got a little bit of an ovation from the Bon Secours faithful here tonight.
Yeah, it seems a little odd having your senior night on the second home game of the season, but, an unusual circumstance for Clemson with their home games this year.
Clemson with a shot up in front. Marquise tried to stop it, couldn't quite get to it. Now he grabs it. That's twice now we've seen Marquise normally cover something like that. Had to take him another second to cover it, and the Gamecocks lucky that one didn't get through.
Yeah, I saw a dangerous moment there where Marquise couldn't find the puck, and just, I guess no Clemson players could find it either.
12:31 to go here in the second period. Still 1-0 Tigers. Face-off. So far, a couple of face-offs in a row here have been won by Clemson. And still hard to tell who wins this one. Now it is officially won by Clemson. John Rogeri trying to wrap around. He's got Austin McCall cherry-picking but couldn't get it through. Good job by John Gibson putting on the pressure there. Tigers trying to spin it around. Now go back up to the blue line. Sent inside, going back after it and pitting up to Julian DePaulo. Bounces off the mask of James Hatton at center. Now Hatton breaking forward. Hatton with that speed coming forward and shoots to the near side. Kaiser just sent it away. Tigers get it back, trying to move forward. Couple of Gamecocks still getting on him. Kevin Catrone with the lumber there. Now Clemson scoots back to the far side. picks it up.
This is the kind of pressure you want to see. South Carolina does this well. When Clemson gets the puck in their own zone, you think it could be an easy clear, but South Carolina does a good job of getting in front of them and turning what could be, an opportunity for Clemson to turn it around and push it into South Carolina zone. They, get their sticks down, block those passes, and they create more offensive opportunities for themselves.
They got to give credit to Clemson's defense. But Kaiser certainly made some plays, but the defense has really prevented Carolina from at least getting repeated offensive opportunities. If they do set up a play, then it's usually a one-shot deal.
Yeah, we've seen just not the same offensive set pieces that we saw against Georgia.
South Carolina potentially with a wraparound. Instead, Brett Topolsky gets it out and now settles it back. Jared now. John McLeod now sent on down. Topolsky going back after Topolsky has it. Sends it up to good job by the Clemson defense getting a stick in there. Would have been a shot to McLeod, who surely better been waiting for a one-timer from point-blank range. But once again, Clemson's defense prevents it. Coming right off the bench, a couple Gamecocks run into one another. That was Nard Slicko and Schneider. Now goes down. McLeod going after for South Carolina. He's checked hard by Luke Bauer. Ian Schneider going after it once again. Lays it back to the blue line and kept in. Quick shot in from Gibson. Almost went in. It went behind the net. South Carolina trying to re-corral it. Kyle Ware can't get to it. Going the other way now, Clemson 2-on-1. This is Chris Hildreth, but once again he couldn't get the puck. Second time Hildreth going forward, but couldn't get the puck. McLeod with it here. Clemson retreats on back. Skipped off the stick of a Gamecock and right to the crease. Will Kaiser freeze it? Yes, he will. As Eric Patterson was headhunting there. Never want to just put the puck back onto the ice when Patterson would have had a shot at it.
We saw a few minutes ago John Ruggieri had a good opportunity, a wraparound shot on the goal. I wonder if they're aware of this little rivalry that they have to see who can be the top goal scorer. Guys will never say that, it's always about the team, but I bet when they get in the locker room, there's a little fun being poked about Xander Butcher's taking the lead in the goals this year.
Don't think Ruggieri's just going to let him have his senior night in peace. Good shot up in front. Eric Patterson tried to get it through. A couple of Tiger sticks prevent it once again. Patterson almost had a brilliant one-timer. Instead, the defense a little bit more brilliant. Puck bounces off a couple of Gamecocks. Now goes back to center and sent on down. Picked up by Kyle Ware. Played it across, but not out. Clemson going to recover the puck once again back in front. Now really in front of Marquise, who has to come all the way out. And Gray Marquise, a fantastic stop. Now it goes back to the post. Patterson went off his skate. Gray Marquise won the one-on-one matchup. The Tigers almost had a shot to go a Deacon right in the goal, and Marquise owned it. It stays 1-0. Puck right up in front. Scooted a little bit farther than the Tigers wanted. Brad Van Rassel, though, kept it in. Going back after it now, Rasico. Rasico sends Kyle Ware to the ice. Now that puck bounced on the boards. Clemson does keep it in. Skipped on past Marquise and just wide left.
You said it, Brett. That was a great play by Marquise. It's a little dangerous anytime you see your goalie step away from the net and come out to block a pass like that. But with how well Marquise has played and the kind of plays he's made, you sort of trust his judgment and know that if I step out, I'm going to be able to affect the puck, and I'm going to make sure that no Clemson players get it on the backside.
Got to trust your net minor. The Gamecocks have done a pretty darn good job of that this season. Have had reason to.
Yeah, that's been a big key for South Carolina's defense, is knowing that they can come up, like I was saying a few minutes ago about, playing aggressive defense in Clemson's zone and not letting them just be able to push the puck. They know that even if someone gets a breakaway, they've had Marquis make saves like that in the past.
South Carolina will win this face-off. They're certainly going to have to shore up the defense to the extent that Clemson is and hopefully take a little bit of the pressure off Marquise, as the Tigers have done against Kaiser tonight.
Yeah, we haven't seen. It seems like the Gamecocks have been playing better, just visibly on the ice. They've been skating better, they've been passing better, but it hasn't translated into that many more opportunities. We haven't seen Kaiser really have to work too much. There's a few shots early in the second period, but since then it's been a little bit quiet down there by the Clemson net.
Face-off is won by the Gamecocks. Now coming right on forward, passing it across. Gamecocks with a shot, and they score!
And right on cue, Brett. I think they heard me from up here that they weren't getting enough opportunities, and right off the face-off, we said at the beginning, face-offs were going to be key. They did not win enough of them for against Georgia, but they win a big one there, and when you can win a face-off in the other team's zone, it's easy for you to set up opportunities to catch them off guard because they're not set up in their defense yet, and that's exactly what they did. A good tip out and then a shot put right past Kaiser there.
Mike Borst going to get credited with that goal. Great job winning the face-off and sending it right across. Borst was wide open just to the right side, and that's exactly what you like to see in hockey when you get a shot like that, a pass like that, open opportunity, and the Gamecocks tie the game.
That puts, I think that puts Borst tied with James Hatton for the lead for goals for South Carolina, and now he's also tied with Kyle Ware for the most points on the team. So Michael Borst, a big impact player for the Gamecocks.
Borst was cherry picking in front there. Hatton's pass barely got poked away. Otherwise, Borst would have been wide open in front once again. 8:34 to go here in the second period. It's all tied up here, 1-1 Gamecocks and Tigers on the Capital City Sports Network. Brett Williams and Michael Duggan here with you. Goes back to neutral ice. Tigers will take it. Now scooted on around. Austin McCall, not for long, bounced in front. Tigers once again with it. Now coming down is Rogeri. And puck is skied in about the fourth row here.
And we saw that both of these goals were on sort of fluky plays, pucks that got tipped out, and not big breakaways, not big offensive sets off a rebound from a shot from your defenseman. It was just quick passes that got tipped out, and Borst and Buttress were both in the right place at the right time. So not the prettiest offense from either team, but I think that South Carolina's goal here is going to give them new life.
We'll see what that life will do. Tigers trying to win it back. Marquise just popped it away to the right side. Now the puck being fought for on the blue line. DePaulo takes it, slides the other way. Julian DePaulo going after, trying to go right to the net, but he's stoned away. Getting in there big was Ryan Wakeford. Now DePaulo hits the deck, as does a Tiger. And Clemson now moving the other way, one-on-one. Going forward, John Ruggieri hides in quick on Marquise. Puck bounces up and into the glove of the goaltender.
Well, South Carolina, we said, their defensemen like to get into the offense. Normally you don't see defensemen going on breakaways like that, like Julian DePaulo just did, but they trust him and they trust Kyle Ware, two of their big offensive playmakers to do that. And even if it gets them caught out of position, like we said, Marquise is back there and he's been making great saves like he just did.
Another face-off taken by Clemson. Usually that's been an advantage for the Tigers tonight. It was not, right down there in front of Kaiser a minute ago, and that set up the Mike Borst goal to equalize in this game. Puck goes out in front of Marquise. It's won by the Gamecocks. Grayson Curry skating out. It's a 3-on-2 developing for South Carolina. Kaiser coming out of the crease. Curry taking it all the way down, leaves it for Beaver, and it bounces on behind. Look, not sure exactly what it bounced off of there. Beaver had a great opportunity. Now a shot from the point guard. Slicko's pass is blocked up in front. Gamecocks rotating it around across the net mouth. Couple of really good shots here from South Carolina. Now Tengy winds and fires. It's blocked in front. Gamecocks will still keep it in. Chasing after it, Beaver makes his presence known with that check. McLeod rotates around, blocked up by a couple of Tigers. McLeod will leave it for Grayson Curry to keep it in. Tengy and Beaver pursue once again. And now the puck will squirt all the way down. One of the best offensive possessions South Carolina's had all night.
Yeah, it started with an excellent pass on the 3-on-2 from Grayson Curry, and that's what they want to see. They want to see the puck moving around. It started out with a breakaway, but normally what they do on offense is they get one of those breaks, and then they use that to set up with numbers and get the puck, bring it in deep and penetrate, and then bring it back and start moving it around between their defensemen and their forwards. And that's what we saw there. We saw a couple of good opportunities, and if that's the kind of offense they can set up, they're going to get a few more goals here tonight.
Well, they got a face-off here to the left side of Kaiser. That won the Gamecocks a goal in this one. Patterson taking the face-off. He's got Schneider and Ware behind him. It is won by the Gamecocks. Kyle Ware heads it back down to Schneider. Schneider trying to crash toward the middle. A couple Tigers got their stick on it and got it away. Good job defensively by Clemson as that one's dumped in. Icing washed out. Clemson will entirely change lines. Here comes Dave Cochran sliding into the neutral zone. And now dumps it down. Ian Schneider going after it, as does Casey Heinold for the Tigers. Heinold got the brunt end of that hit. And it's won by Tengy. Tengy tried to get it in front, bounced off of the skate of Joseph Kaiser. Dave Cochran has it. Cochran thought about a wraparound, didn't have it. Gamecocks to rotate in. Shot goes high and gloved by Kaiser.
Another opportunity offensively created for South Carolina, because when they get up on the boards, they're winning those battles and they're pulling the puck away from Clemson. And we saw a little pass right next to the net that almost got pushed in, and then they controlled the puck again. They moved it back out and they set up another shot.
You got to feel like whoever wins the physicality battle tonight's going to have the advantage. A game like this where energy is so important. James Hatton takes the face-off for South Carolina. Gamecocks will get it in near side boards. Couple players fighting for it. South Carolina will win it. Kevin Catrone slams it toward Kaiser, gets trapped under his leg pad, and he'll be able to freeze it.
You're talking about the pace and the energy. We've seen a lot of shifts in that throughout the game. Some lulls, some periods where, neither team's playing too aggressive, and then, a few times when these teams are going to go all out. And it seems like they're conserving some of that, and they're not going to, put the pedal to the metal the entire game, but just in the opportunities when they think they have an advantage.
This face-off taken again. South Carolina going right to the front. Hickman winning it once again, drove toward the net.
Yeah, another South Carolina opportunity created there by the one face-off, but just didn't have that same passing lane.
Up in front, Kyle Ware. Kaiser turned it away once again. Now skied high off the boards, tried to get gloved down by Gibson. Almost was a mistake, as Clemson almost had Andrew Rasico going one on Marquise the other way. Instead, Rasico unable to control it, so the Gamecocks will send all the way down. Kaiser will send it off to his right side. 5 minutes to go here in the second period in a 1-1 game. Tigers getting into the neutral zone, moving forward. This is Matthew Power. Power skating forward. Power gets past Apollo. Power right to the gut of Marquise. Couple players fighting for it. The Gamecocks will clear it away. And DePaulo lost his stick again, and this will be icing against South Carolina.
DePaulo said, if I don't have my stick, I'm going to do the next best thing, which is just knock down the closest Clemson player, and that's what he did right in front of the crease.
I tell you, Julian DePaulo makes plays no matter what the circumstance.
Probably take that guy's skates off, and he's still going to try and get out there and hit somebody.
Yep. I think you can skate on ice with socks, right? I think that's the thing.
I'm sure he would find a way.
Face-off will come to the right side of Gray Marquise. Matthew Power going to take it once again for the Tigers. Believe it will be Jacob Tengy going after it for South Carolina. He takes an extra minute to skate into position. Marquise ready with that glove. It's won by Clemson. Brad Van Rassel with it, slams it down. Going after it here, Alex Swindeman. Swindeman hesitates, now plays it behind. South Carolina going back after it, now laying it on down the boards. Chasing after it, Jacob Tengy. Will he get there first? He will not, but Clemson's able to play it out. Icing was waved off anyway. Tigers trying to get it out of their defensive zone. Gamecocks have other ideas. Tigers still trying to reset the puck. And it is barely cleared. And the Gamecock...
See, we saw another chance where, and here as they push it into the offensive zone, we saw another chance where, getting a play off the boards where Clemson and South Carolina are both fighting for it, and South Carolina is just winning those battles over and over again. And I think one's going to turn into a goal here, because those kind of plays they create chaos, and they create opportunities where the Clemson defense is not in the right position.
This puck getting jammed on behind Kaiser. A couple players fighting for it on either side. Nick Pizzo will end up taking it away. 3:35 to go here in the second period. Curry winds and fires, goes to the inside. Couple Tigers getting on it and sending it away. In particular, Jared Tallow there. Now gets all the way in front of Marquis, sends it to Curry. Tigers, quick line change, everybody flying onto the ice. Clearly they had some extra energy in the tank they're trying to bring out right now. Alec Jared going down for the Gamecocks. Now back to center ice. Curry spins it around. One Tiger tried to glove it down. That was Rogeri. Instead it goes back behind Kaiser. Luke Bauer corrals. Gamecocks with it right back. Slammed it toward Kaiser, who blocked it away easily. Back toward the blue line. McLeod fighting for it for South Carolina. Instead it's won by Xander Buttress. But then the Gamecocks get the stick on it and send it right back. Bauer behind Kaiser.
You mentioned the line change for Clemson and bringing in the energy. Clemson has a much deeper roster than South Carolina does right now, and so you got to wonder if maybe getting late into the third period, if Clemson keeps up the rotation and getting all their guys involved, if they're going to be a little more fresh when this game comes down to the last few minutes.
South Carolina really a gritty team, fought through a little bit of adversity this season with the various breaks that they've had. 2 natural breaks, one being the fall break, one being a bye week, and then the one that was caused by the floods, and really have been outmanned if you've looked at the rosters. Vanderbilt, Georgia, still more players than South Carolina's had, and they're always hanging in there.
Also, just about every team they've played, especially in the past few weeks, has had more games played on their schedule already. Clemson has 8 games played coming in here. South Carolina just 5 because of the flooding. So, this team hasn't had as much time to mesh like some of these other teams had, and they've still done well, but you got to think that this South Carolina team is going to get better as the season goes on.
Clemson wins this face-off, moving forward quickly the other way, 2-on-2. Ruggieri with it. He was going down there with Buttress, the 2 offensive weapons. Instead, it's won by a South Carolina offensive weapon, Eric Patterson, back at center ice. He dumps it in behind Kaiser. A couple Gamecocks and Tigers going after it, and they gave up on the puck and still checked each other into the boards. Ruggieri fighting through Kyle Ware. He wins it. Now reverse direction, and the Gamecocks will end up getting it back at the blue line. Shot right to the chest of Joseph Kaiser, and he grabs it. Kyle Ware with a tough shot there to stop. Kaiser snagged it.
A hard shot there, and you just look out there, and Kyle Ware is an imposing figure. One of the biggest players out on the ice, maybe the biggest player out there. Anytime he steps on the ice, he's just an offensive and defensive weapon for the Gamecocks.
Gotta love when he and DePaulo play that blue line together back and forth, and neither one can set up the offense beautifully and or score. Gamecocks will win this faceoff. Will they be able to keep it in? Not quite. Gibson has to take it out. Gamecocks will reset, and now Gibson dumps it in, going after it for the Tigers, Christian Suda. Suda wins it, sends it behind Kaiser. Going after it now is Chris Hildreth. Sends it forward. Clemson with an opportunity to go 2-on-1. Here comes Marquise out of his crease. This is Paxton, Derek Paxton with it. Now Julian DePaulo tripped in front of Marquise. They're going to have a penalty call. Here comes DePaulo the other way. Marquise quickly going to the bench. And now DePaulo fighting for it. Gamecocks with an extra attacker on for now until Clemson touches up, which they do. And now South Carolina will go back on the power play.
That was exactly the play that we were talking about earlier. South Carolina really had 4 guys in Clemson's zone playing aggressive defense, even though the Tigers had the puck after the reset, and they felt comfortable putting on that pressure because they have Marquise in the net and he's played so well. And we saw it again. They were a little bit out of position because they were playing such aggressive defense, but the breakaway shot was stopped by a beautiful save by Marquise, and then they get fortunate with the penalty coming the other way.
That penalty on Chris Hildreth for tripping. Gamecocks 0 for 2 on the power play tonight as Clemson killed off a 5-on-3 earlier in this one. It is the 4th penalty registered against Clemson.
You got to think that South Carolina is going to be a little more effective, a little more efficient on this power play. It's been one of their strengths all season long.
Check that. That was penalty number 5. We had 2 coincidental minors there earlier in this period. Clemson not giving Carolina any early opportunities here on this one.
South Carolina has struggled a little bit in getting the puck into Clemson's zone, especially on these power plays. So they got to, once they get it in, they've been controlling it well in the second period, but they got to work on those entrances. Another one denied
here
there.
Here goes
now
a counterattack the other way. This is John Ruggieri, hesitates, goes one-on-one with Marquise. It scoots behind Marquise, but it does not go in. Barely wide of the post.
A dangerous play there.
Goodness gracious, Marquise couldn't quite get to it. Gamecocks extremely lucky that one didn't go in. So no shorthanded goal for the Tigers, and the Gamecocks will have to reset here now instead. Here comes Clemson again on a 2-on-1 break. This is Jared Tallow. Tallow shoots high in behind Marquise and behind the net.
Craig Marquise has got to be like, who is on the power play here? You guys are letting them push right down the ice.
South Carolina not winning the advantage here on this power play. 40 seconds left in the man advantage for the Gamecocks. Eric Patterson will dump in. Ian Schneider will pursue, and pursuing him is Ryan Wakeford. Schneider and Wakeford go into the boards. Patterson also there. Fighting for it. John Gibson wins the puck, slaps it well wide of the net. To the right side, South Carolina will retreat, and that will actually bring us to the end of the second period. 24 seconds remaining on the Gamecocks power play when we come back in the third, but it is 1-1 Gamecocks and Tigers. Different second period, Michael, that's for sure, than what we saw in the first.
Yeah, definitely more energy. Definitely both teams were a little bit more crisp. I think they came out a little sloppy in the first period, but we saw some more effective offense from both teams, even though it didn't result in a goal by Clemson. And I just want to go back to that South Carolina power play at the end. They looked like they were getting dominated. It's 4-on-5, and you think South Carolina is going to put the pressure on. They're going to set up their offense, and they can't get the puck into the Clemson zone. You get 2 breakaway shots for Clemson, and then you come down on the other end, and Clemson looks like they're just, playing more physical. They're pushing him around, getting him into the glass. It's just very uncharacteristic play there for South Carolina in the first minute and a half of that power play.
And it was certainly a shame given the minutes that we saw right before that, because South Carolina had some of their best offense in the whole game thus far just before that power play happened. And before that, we saw Mike Borst end up equalizing. Really nice goal, one off the face-off, a couple nice face-offs won by South Carolina down low. They're going to have to continue to win that battle in the third period.
Yeah, it's just interesting because you would think South Carolina would have all the momentum, and it seems like they did. They had the goal, coming right out of the face-off, and that seemed to turn the corner, and their offense really started to get going. But then when you go into the half with such a weak power play, it really kind of deflates you. The only redeeming factor here is that they're going to have 24 seconds of a power play when we start. So if they can come out with a little bit more energy this time, they might be able to capitalize that, or at least get the momentum going into the third.
Even momentum and an even score here after two. It's 1-1 Carolina and Clemson. When we get back, we'll have a little bit of minor league hockey and a little bit of football for you on the Capital City Sports Network.
Every time you come around, I'm like, ooh, ooh, baby, ooh, ooh, baby. When I see you break it down, I like you do, baby, you do, baby. Papa told me, boy, don't never let down your guard. But when you touch my hand and talk that talk,
I gotta knock it in my knees and I wobble in my walk.
wobble.
Wobble in my, wobble in my, wobble in my, wobble in my. When you touch my hand and talk deep talk, I gotta knock it in my knees and I wobble in my walk.
It's like my head back been drinking out the bottle. I swallow some strong drink, but really just my motto. She lotto, jackpot, grandpa. prize, champion franchise, born ready, yeah, she get it right now, on time. Early AM, breakfast after the mayhem, baby, cause they don't make them like you, I hope that you hate them. Black cars, that's a virgin, I keep them twerking, they working, I swipe it perfect, go ahead and purchase, girl, it's on me. Yeah, it's my dime, damn if I'm wrong, yeah, it's alright. When you go down, down in my mind, do what you want, that's what I like. Every time you come around, I'm like, ooh, ooh, baby, when I see you break it down, I like you do, baby, Papa told me, boy, don't never let down your guard, but when you touch my hand and talk that talk,
I got a knock in my knees and a wobble in my walk.
wobble.
Wobble in my, wobble in my, wobble in my, wobble in my. When you touch my hand and talk me talk, I got a knock in my knees and a wobble in my walk.
Yeah, wobble, wobble, satisfaction my motto. Show me and lead the way, and baby I'll follow. Promise you ecstasy. Long as you
Welcome back to Bon Secours Wellness Arena, everybody. Brett Williams alongside Robert McCachran now. Second intermission. It's 1-1 South Carolina and Clemson. And we are once again at Bon Secours, home of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, which is the ECHL affiliate of the New York Rangers. And Robert, you happen to be a Greenville Swamp Rabbit fan.
Oh, that is correct. My mother, she has season tickets. We come to several games. It's a great experience. The atmosphere is really well for ECHL game. Great atmosphere. Fans are really into it, and players get behind us as well.
Now you mentioned, or I mentioned, I should say, that the Swamp Rabbits are affiliated with the Rangers. Got a bit of a natural rivalry with one of the other teams in South Carolina, the South Carolina Stingrays, based out of North Charleston, a Washington Capitals affiliate, and we know the rivalry between the Rangers and the Caps. So a little bit between the Swamp Rabbits and the Stingrays as well.
Oh yeah, you can definitely tell when the game starts. The players are more energized, a lot more intensity, hitting, several more fights, including those games, regular games going on during the season. The players they're just energized. They're ready to go, and it's just a different atmosphere, including the fans as well.
Now, we've seen a pretty good history of hockey here in Greenville. Start off with the Greenville Growl, 2001-2002. They were Kelly Cup champions, the ECHL championship, and then eventually moved to the Greenville Road Warriors and back here to the Swamp Rabbits.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, we had a little break with the Growl, and then Road Warriors came along. In inaugural season, they won the division and #1 seed in the playoffs for the East, so that was huge. The fans definitely got back, and now we changed to the Swamp Rabbits, so same team, new logo, ready to go.
What do you think about that name, Swamp Rabbits?
It can go either way, it's Swamp Rabbit Trail, I can see that, but
Yep.
I don't know about the name. That's what you get in minor league hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the creative ones, I gotta say. And as for last year's Kelly Cup, the Allen Americans taking it in Allen, Texas. That was their first ever title. They're a San Jose Sharks affiliate. You're also a Sharks fan, so I gotta be happy about that. I being a Capital fan, they ended up beating the Stingrays in the final, but should be an interesting season this year here in the ECHL, just getting started, as is the NHL season just getting started. Should be a lot of great action, and certainly you're going to see that if you come here to Bon Secours Wellness Arena or down to the Coliseum, and here at the Plexus, or back at for Gamecock hockey at the Plex as well. And we're going to see a fantastic third period here tonight. Robert, thanks so much for joining us, and we appreciate your help here on the crew tonight as well.
You're welcome. Have a great time.
Absolutely. All right, Carolina Clemson second intermission report continues right after this here on the Capital City Sports Network.
Minutes and seconds are ticking away continuously. Your life
We're back with the second intermission report, 1-1 South Carolina and Clemson. And of course, anytime you're talking about this rivalry, you got to talk about football. And recently, College Game Day paid a visit to the campus of Clemson for Clemson Notre Dame. And well, when they did that, this happened. And that would be Luke Bauer of Clemson's hockey team, who's already laid into a couple of players here tonight, so he got a little bit of fame going on game day.
Yeah, I mean, we've had game day here twice since I've been to South Carolina, and it can get pretty wild. So, you know, when you're bringing all that energy, it's normally for a big game. Anything can happen on that weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Clemson happened to have the rain. That was actually the day before the flood hit Columbia, so they were able to have a little fun up here in the upstate. Talking about football, Clemson having a very good season, number 3 currently in the AP poll. A lot of people think they could end up in the college football playoff, which may bode a little bit interesting for the Carolina-Clemson game coming up later this season.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina has quarterback issues and Clemson does not. South Carolina might be starting, playing 2 quarterbacks in their next game. Deshaun Watson is very, solid at quarterback. He played with a hurt ACL last year against South Carolina, so it seems like nothing's going to keep him out of the game.
I think the Gamecocks are really going to have to try to ride the momentum and the new energy that Coach Sean Elliott brought in his interim opener against Vanderbilt. A good win for the Gamecocks. Got at Texas A&M this Saturday. A couple other, one more away game after that before a couple of home games. Going to have to get some wins going into the Clemson game to have the momentum. And of course, there will be a lot of sandstorming at Williams-Brice, and the fans will be ready to see if the Gamecocks can get the win. Meanwhile, in this game, we'll see who gets the win after this. When we have the third period, it's 1-1 South Carolina and Clemson. Catch the exciting conclusion next on the Capital City Sports Network.
Jenny Bang. And we pretty much amazing. Yeah. Mind your manners. You hear me? And all the people should be raising their glasses. Flow crazy, celebrating the madness. I never thought I would deliver no classics. Then I hooked up with them and they delivered more classics. I be keeping it true. Hotel good, long as I can peep from the view. Like, damn, how high are we? You gotta gamble in this life, Charles Bar. I'm overprotected, do the dopest of methods. Now my vocal perfected, this is audio breakfast. Yes, so tell a hater here's a slammer. I know they hating on us, but mind your manners.
Take a second look and you'll see. There is no one like me. There is no one like me. Like me. You better reconsider.
Welcome back. Third period action just beginning here from Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina and Clemson. What an environment here tonight. And a 1-1 game. Brett Williams and Michael Duggan here with you on CCSN.
And we said that with the power play, 24 seconds left when we started the period, that South Carolina was going to have to put some pressure, and they did. They came right at the net. Not able to get the goal in, but let's see if it'll give them some momentum as we get full strength here as the power play just ended.
Puck bounces up in front of Kaiser. Who's going to find the puck? It looks like South Carolina eventually will get to it and now play it toward the near side boards. Clemson, big check there. Chris Hildreth laying down the lumber. Eric Patterson wins the puck back from him. Now scooting around Ian Schneider with it. Up toward the blue line. And now back to center ice and taken by Gibson and sent away. Puck bouncing around continually, now goes up behind the netminder.
So, Brett, what are you looking for to start this third period?
I really want to see where the intensity lies. You know it's going to get up here. Third period of a rivalry game and a tie game. You've got to see who had that momentum. We talked about the end. South Carolina's power play didn't quite work. Poke checking there. Kaiser will hold. No goal is the call. I think it got trapped on the post, although a couple Gamecocks sitting asking questions.
Yeah, an up-and-down game. Not so much with the goals. I mean, we had Clemson go up early and then South Carolina match, but the energy has definitely fluctuated back and forth between these teams. They seemed evenly matched talent-wise, and the score says so also, but I think you're right. I think whoever can bring more energy, especially in the last 5 minutes, this is not going to be, I don't see anyone breaking out in this game, breaking away, with a 3-1 win or a 4-1 win. I think it's going to come down to the last few minutes and see, which team can execute their plays and stay out of special teams trouble.
Special teams always a key. South Carolina going to win this face-off, send on forward. Kaiser protecting the near post. His defense protected him, took the puck back And now the puck scooting around back in front of the net, but Clemson will have it and go the other way. This is Jared Tallow sliding forward. Tallow makes a nice move, got a 2-on-1. Tallow fires in high, just missed the net. Had a top shelf opportunity. Big hit leveled there by Power on Catrone. Puck scoots forward. South Carolina will take it. And moving the other way, Dave Cochran.
Looked like Tallow there was trying to force a goal in there. I think he wants to make up for those 2 penalties he had earlier in the game.
Big trap here on the boards. We've seen a good number of that tonight. Still fighting for it. Clemson fans pounding the net there, pounding the glass, excuse me. And now fanned on a pass did Jared Tallow. Towards center ice, here comes Travis Kearns moving the other direction for Clemson. Jacob Tenge popped it up for South Carolina and sent it around to Cochran.
Good defense here so far by South Carolina in this period. Clemson's had a few chances to push it in, but now South Carolina's turning the tables and pushing it into Clemson's zone.
Aaron Beaver spinning around. Good job on puck control. Tried to get it to Tenge, and great stick work by Casey Heinold to bring it out the other way. That puck bounces off high off the glass and now still in play. Neutral ice. Kyle Ware with it, spinning around, now sending it back and off the skate of Christian Suda. Dave Cochran by the blue line. Tigers taking it in neutral ice. Now moving it the other way, South Carolina coming forward. Jacob Tenge with it. Tenge getting pursued by Heinold. Tenge rotates around, Tenge shoots, and it's off the pad of Kaiser.
You know, Tenge's been really good this game about initiating these South Carolina plays and pushing it into Clemson's zone.
I feel like he may be the one to make the game-breaking play before this one's over. Across the net mouth for Clemson. You still got to look to those big 3, Buttress, Rogeri, and McCall for the Tigers to do so.
And, you know, Clemson has that depth there. They have the ability to let those 3 guys get some rest and really save them up for the big push at the end.
Couple players fighting for it now. Scoots behind Marquise, shot up in front, and saved by Marquise off the stick of Nick Citron.
Dangerous moment there, you know. He came free right across the ice. Perfect pass straight to him, but he didn't really have a good angle on the net. Marquise was he was ready for it. He was in position and didn't give anywhere for that shot to go.
Another face-off going to come to the left side of Marquise. Tigers have certainly had their chances to pound it past them on some breakaways. Sometimes the Gamecocks have gotten lucky. Sometimes have had some really good saves. And the game is still 1-1. Face-off taken by the Tigers. Quick shot in, but Marquise easily puts that one aside. Puck lazily dribbles on toward the near side boards. Couple players going for it. Couple checks there. Now Clemson will get it up in front. Couldn't control the stick. Now it goes up behind Marquise, and the Tigers score. Just got through a couple players getting to it, and Marquise ended up getting spun around, and what looked very similar to the goal scored by Mike Borst for the Gamecocks earlier in this one gives the Tigers a 2-1 lead.
Well, we said earlier that South Carolina had been winning those plays up against the glass where there's multiple Clemson Tigers, multiple Gamecocks in there fighting for it. And when that happens, everyone gets a little uneasy because there's multiple players out of position, and it can lead to you know, a little bit of scrambled chaos there. And that's what happened for Clemson. Earlier in the game, that was all going South Carolina's way, but on 2 different occasions, and you know, in a 2-minute stretch right there, we saw Clemson win those battles on the board, and that one just led to a goal where the Gamecocks were not prepared to play defense.
Ryan Wakeford with the goal there on the poke check in. And it's 2-1 Tigers, 15:48 to go now here in the third period.
Looks like a high sticking call.
Puck played with a high stick there, so no penalty, but face-off will come back into neutral ice on the Tigers' offensive side, however.
Now, Brett, how do you think South Carolina is going to respond to being down 2-1? They responded well in the second period. They're going to need to do it again.
I think we will see that for South Carolina. They've been a pretty resilient team all year. Just got to continue to put that offensive pressure on. Leave it to their leaders, Patterson and DePaulo. Here comes the Tigers on a quick counterattack going the other way. Quick fire and blocked up and high. Good job by Dave Cochran getting a skate on that off the stick of McCall.
Talking about their leaders, Kyle Ware, a big leader, one of their most talented players, and he just had a sloppy pass that could have really been a dangerous play there for Clemson.
And now the puck going all the way down. Mike Borst pursuing it, goes behind Kaiser. Borst tried to play it in front. He almost got Patterson there wide open. Patterson still fighting for it. Now goes up in front. Schneider plays it over the top of Kaiser, and it just went to the right side of the net. Clemson with it, couldn't clear it, bounced off a Gamecock back of the shin. And Clemson will corral it in center ice. Here comes the Tigers moving forward. Quick shot, bounces wide of Marquise. Tigers trying to clean it up. And Marquise denies him once again. John Rogeri, Johnny on the spot. Didn't work. Oh, back in front, and the Tigers put it right in again. 3-1, and Kyle Ware, it went off his stick. Didn't go where he wanted it to. Tigers right in the right place at the right time and now have a 2-goal lead.
We've been talking about this all game. South Carolina's passing has just not been up to par of what it normally was. 4 goals against Clemson, and most of those goals came off of very crisp passing, a lot of them across the middle. This just, a few simple passes back in the zone, of South Carolina's zone. And I mean, it should go without saying, Brett, that you can't just give the other team the puck right in front of the net.
Not a good situation for the Gamecocks, especially in this game. And head coach Alan Sirois going to call a timeout, I think, very wisely here early in this third period.
I think he needs to try and rein his team in. You don't want them just going out there and start trying to freelance, start trying to do too much. There's still plenty of time left on the clock, 14 minutes left, and South Carolina can easily score 2 goals. We saw them have burst scoring against Georgia, but they're going to have to just start playing smarter and start being a little more collected.
Going to take a very quick break. We will be right back with you as we conclude this third period right after this. We're back. Clemson up 3-1 here. 14.5 minutes to play here in the third period. South Carolina really going to have to fight back after a couple of sloppy possessions. Ended up with a couple of good shots for the Tigers and 2 quick goals.
Slicko almost had another sloppy pass there that luckily Clemson couldn't corral and couldn't turn into an opportunity. But it doesn't seem like that South Carolina timeout had much of an effect, because there's another pass, just another sloppy pass.
And Marquis is going to have to really protect that near post. Puck gets away. South Carolina with it behind, can't quite clear it. Once again, Clemson controlling it offensively. That one sent down off the stick of Nard Slicko. Now he goes after it to corral it. Plays it up on down the boards.
It seems
going
like,
back towards center ice.
It seems like South Carolina is getting a little bit frazzled now. They are not just controlling the puck, making a smart pass. It seems like as soon as they get it in their own zone, they're just trying to shoot it right out.
Tigers moving it back down in. 3-on-2, and now just let it go. Grayson Curry going to go back after for the Gamecocks. Good thing for South Carolina, do have 13.5 minutes here. So certainly enough time to get 2 goals. Here comes Grayson Curry moving forward. Curry makes the move. Waiting now. Couple players driving it on.
This is a similar play to how Clemson just scored. Let's see if South Carolina can win that fight. Nope, it'll go to Clemson.
Clemson been doing a good job on the boards and now breaking the other way. Here comes Chandler Paff, wide open. Paff shoots it. Good job by Marquis, slipping it off to his left leg and getting it away to the left side. Once again, Paff coming forward here, not wasting time. Tries to scoot it in front. He had Derek Paxton waiting, but it got through. And the Gamecocks still can't clear it. Pass just did not go where Julian DePaulo wanted it to go.
This South Carolina defense cannot get their passing together. It's really hard to explain what's happening. We haven't seen them be like this. These defenders are normally the guys who have great stick control. Kyle Ware, Julian DePaulo, they're not just great defensive players, they're great offensive players too. We've seen Julian DePaulo drive deep into Clemson's territory on his own and make shots on goal already in this game, and it just seems like their confidence has been shaken, and they're just, they're not executing simple things like they normally do. 2
weeks ago against Georgia, the Gamecocks played a pretty good game overall, but in the end, it was their sloppy penalties that brought them down. So far tonight, decent game, but it looks like this defense here in the third period is the part that's taking them out. This face-off will be eventually won here by the Gamecocks. Patterson tried to get it to Borst in front. Patterson now with it, wraparound shot. Kaiser going high, and it looks like he trapped it between his glove, his stick, and his mask.
That is the guy. We've been talking about Patterson and McCall as the captains this whole night, and we saw him get a good shot right there. Patterson has got to be the senior leader here, and he's got to try and tell his star players, Julian DePaulo and Kyle Ware, and not just them. Several other players have had errant passes, but he's got to try and get these guys back focused and back making smart plays again.
Gamecocks win this faceoff. Kyle Ware with it, trying to bring it in right toward the net mouth. John Rogeri turns him around the other way. Puck still with the Gamecocks. Eric Patterson on the wall, lays it on behind. Set up right in front, looked for Borst, didn't get there, but gets through. Dave Cochran going to keep it at the blue line. Cochran plays it back down right off a Tiger, and now Clemson going to be able to move the other way. Patterson got his stick on it, but not enough, and Rogeri will send it down. Kyle Ware going back after it, gets it behind Gray Marquis, slams it behind Rogeri. Now a couple players fighting. We're now up in front. Turnaround shot, no good. Gamecocks now sliding it the other direction. Going back after, still a couple players fighting for it in neutral ice. This is Dave Cochran moving forward with it. Cochran going over to the far side boards. Now Cochran backhanded it, almost went right to the crease. Bounces around near side. Coming back out. Ware spins around right to Kaiser. Not a bad shot from Ware. Just skipped the tad wide to the right. Puck gets reversed back toward near side, back towards center ice now. Patterson played ping pong off a couple of Gamecock skates, and instead the Tigers will go the other way 3-on-1, but they are offside. And the Gamecocks should be thankful for that.
Oh, a sloppy play there by Clemson. I mean, you have 3-on-1 going the other way, and a defender out of position at that. You had two guys running free at down the right side, and you got to control the puck better. It looked like the pass just slid a little bit too far out in front, and they weren't as organized on that break as they wanted to be. But South Carolina extremely fortunate that didn't turn into another goal.
Will South Carolina be able to capitalize on a Tiger mistake? Haven't been able to do so in terms of the power plays tonight. Clemson yet to actually have its own power play. The Gamecocks committed 2 coincidental minors. Gamecocks are 0 for 3.
But it hasn't much mattered because Clemson, only 5 goals this year on power play out of their 29 goals. So, they don't depend on that power play to get goals as we've seen here tonight.
Alex Swindeman was taking it in for the Tigers there. Bounces behind a couple of his players. Goes to Nick Nardslicko. Nardslicko turns around. Sends it on up. Bounces around. Now here goes South Carolina with it. John McLeod spins around. Now goes to Brett Topolsky. He turned right around and turned a quick shot, but it was stopped by Brad Van Rassel and sent out of play.
We've said a lot about South Carolina missing those passes down in their own zone, but give credit to Clemson because they've capitalized. They've had guys in the right position. They've made smart passes right in front of the net, and South Carolina has been bringing too many players back behind the net to corral pucks that go past there. They're leaving on multiple occasions. They've been leaving right in front of the net open for for Clemson offensive players to get in there unguarded.
James Hatton going on the faceoff for South Carolina. He will not win it, but Julian DePaulo will be able to get his stick on the puck and keep it in for the Gamecocks. Bounced behind now. Gamecocks trying to corral it to the near side. They cannot. Tigers trying to move it all the way out. Here comes Jared Tallow. He's got some speed. Now sends it on down looking for Andrew Rasico. Rasico will get it, play it across the crease. Didn't have anybody there waiting for him as the Tigers were changing lines. That bounces around, now picked up by Catrone, now spun around and sent back towards center, grabbed by Christian Suda of Clemson. Marquis goes out of the crease, goes behind the net.
South Carolina in control now. Let's see if they can set up a play in their own zone.
Big check there. Not sure actually if the check got through. Looked like it was a missed check. And the Gamecocks will get a new line. Here comes Clemson back the other way. Pass attempted for Nick Citron, didn't go through. And icing called. We are just over halfway through the third period. 9:29 to go in regulation. It's Clemson 3, Carolina 1. Well, the Gamecocks will need to strike a couple times to send this one to overtime.
If South Carolina is going to get goals here, Brett, who do you think is going to be the ones to put it in the back of the net? Because we haven't, their normal top goal scorers, top offensive players, their playmakers haven't been playing their best tonight. So it might be, an Aaron Beaver or someone that whose name we don't call as much, but still very capable of putting it in the net.
The Beaver certainly has that offensive power. I think he will be a factor in this one, and of course Tengy too. But I do believe Eric Patterson's the guy you look to in this situation regardless. He has a way with the puck. He finds openings in the net. I do believe he's going to get a shot on goal in the rest of this game, if not a couple, and maybe get one in. Big check there. Jacob Tengy hits the deck along with Path. And now a fight in the neutral zone. Fight for the puck, that is, taken by Path.
Looked like Tangy was trying to get a penalty called there.
And shot just snagged by Gray Marquise.
Yeah, normally one of those guys you look to is Kyle Ware. 5 assists on the year so far, so he's definitely one of their playmakers, but he's been one of the guys that his passing hasn't been quite there. He's had a few poor passes in the defensive zone, but I think if he can get refocused and he can get his chance out on the blue line, set up, he's had a couple of really good shots from out deep already. If he can do that and set up maybe some rebounds for South Carolina, he's a guy that really their offense, if you can point to one guy, their offense goes through him.
It'll definitely be nice to see him pick it up offensively here late in this game. I think Ian Schneider's somebody else you can look to. He's been able to make a couple of good breaks tonight. Speaking of Schneider trying to play the puck in center ice, and John Rogeri will win it from him and for Clemson. Tigers go another way, but not with numbers. And the puck will be tipped off the stick of Grayson Curry and goes out of play. Once again, these two teams will meet up in 24 hours' time back in Irmo at the Plex. That'll be a 9:15 puck drop. Unfortunately, we will not be able to be there for you tomorrow night. We're glad we're with you here tonight and glad you're with us here in Greenville. Our next telecast will be November 13th as the Gamecocks host Florida. That'll be the first of 2 games that weekend on a Friday and a Sunday against the Gators, and the football team will battle Florida at Williams-Brice on Saturday. This puck won by Mike Borst and snagged high on a quick slap shot by Joseph Kaiser.
South Carolina, it seems like they're getting a little bit desperate now. You'd like to think that when they get the chance to push into Clemson's zone like that they're going to either slow it down and try and set up their offense, or take control of the puck and drive it at the Clemson net, and an outside shot that's easily stopped by Kaiser there. It just seems like they're trying to do a little bit too much right now.
Nick Pizzo from the point goes down. South Carolina wins it back. Schneider again, now goes right to the glove of Kaiser again. Schneider had a couple of good moves, tried to go back opposite side to the top shelf, and Kaiser was waiting for him.
Yeah, very good shot there. Just, what can we say? Kaiser's playing an excellent game so far.
Kaiser and his defense in front of him. South Carolina has not been devoid of opportunities. Haven't been able to cash in except for that one time. Borst, who had that goal, wins this face-off. Weaved through a couple of Tigers, but couldn't get through the last one. Now Clemson moving the other way. Quick one-on-one opportunity developing here. Marquise stones Matt Wilson.
And like we said earlier, they trust Marquise back there on those breakaway situations, and again, he comes through for him.
Eric Patterson dove it down there, played it in to keep icing from being called. South Carolina will control on the blue line. Good work there by Patterson winning it, but Clemson takes it right back. And Carolina will have to retreat. 7:35 remaining.
A similar thing has been happening in this third period that happened in the first, that South Carolina has not been able to sustain offensive plays for very long.
Had that one stretch in the second period where they were able to do so. That was right after the goal was scored. Really, that was the only time all night really consistent offensive pressure applied by South Carolina.
And you got to think that's when their confidence is the highest, and it just seems like that ever since that, the missed power play at the end of the second and then the early Clemson goal in the third, that they haven't been able to really rally offensively like they did in the second.
Dangerous opportunity as Brett Topolsky played it right in front of John McLeod, skipped off his stick, and it looks like we have a penalty called. And it looks like yet another Tiger will go to the box, and South Carolina will have another man advantage. We'll see if they can take advantage of this. And wouldn't you know, Jared Tallow, his third trip to the sin bin tonight.
Well, coach for the Clemson Tigers is not going to be happy. If South Carolina does get back into this game, they're going to be looking at Jared Tallow and saying, how can you spend so much time in the penalty box? We need, to be full strength on the ice against a team who scores 50% of their goals on the power play.
Tallow, a junior, has experience with the team. Comes from Rochester, New York, and bringing that northern hockey intensity, evidently. Played across Kyle Ware on the blue line. Ware shoots high off the mask. Rebound, Gamecock score.
That's exactly the play that we were just talking about. Kyle Ware making up for those errant passes earlier in the game, and man, that was an excellent shot bouncing off, and then the rebound. That's exactly what we were just saying, Brett. Kyle Ware, one of the biggest players out on the ice, has the most powerful slap shot, I think, on the team, and he puts one that Kaiser I think he got a little confused because it came at him so hard, and then it bounced up and right next to the net, and a good putback.
Yeah, James Hatton there with the goal, and we talked about him in the open. Typically the Gamecocks' power play weapon, and he strikes again here. Time of the goal, 13:07, and it's a 3-2 game in favor still of Clemson, but the Gamecocks needed that very quick on a power play. And Kyle Ware, that bounced off the mask of Kaiser and right to Hatton.
Hatton, had another shot there. He's the leading goal scorer again now with 4 goals on the year.
So the Gamecocks right back in it. Shot one-timer from Cochran goes high. Kaiser not there, trapped under a Gamecock. Now trying to wrap around. Gamecocks with another opportunity. Catrone tries to poke check, and Kaiser swallows.
This is the South Carolina offense that we want to see. Setting it up by passing it out or wrapping around, but getting those guys in front of the net. They do a great job. Hatton's always one of those guys, as we saw on the goal right there, but they like to put 1 or 2 men right in front of the net to get those deflections, to get those crossing passes, and just being able to get those easy tip-ins. And that's what we need. That's what we need to see. We need to see South Carolina setting up real offensive plays and not just throwing, errant shots that are easy for Kaiser to control with his glove.
South Carolina will win this face-off. Good pressure so far here in this middle third period portion. South Carolina's shot just goes off the left post. Jacob Tengy rotating it around. Taken back by the Tigers and right back by Tengy and right back by the Tigers. Now going the other way, and Austin McCall. McCall 2-on-2 working. McCall swits it up. And good job by Kyle Ware getting his stick on it and getting it away.
Until this possession, it seems like even though South Carolina
and a goal for Clemson, and a quick spin around by McCall as the puck just squirted away off the boards. Right place, right time, top shelf. And the lead is once again 2 goals, 4-2.
And if it seems like we've been talking about South Carolina's miscues a lot, we really need to talk about Clemson and how they've been delivering. I mean, that is a very mature veteran play by their leader, McCall. He just got the pass coming off the boards, was able to take control of it. A very good move and a very excellent shot right up in the top of the net.
And with that, it is 4-2 Clemson with 6:04 to go. The time of that goal, 13:56. And so less than a minute after South Carolina made it back to a 1-goal game, Clemson extends it. And the Gamecocks will need to score again here pretty soon, try to keep that pressure on. Clemson very opportunistic tonight offensively and defensively, and here they go again the other way. Alex Swindeman coming forward, quickly checked by a couple of Gamecocks. Grayson Curry gets the puck away from him successfully and couldn't get it to Alec Jarrett, so the Tigers will keep it in their offensive zone.
You got to have a sinking feeling if you're in your stomach right now if you're on that South Carolina bench, because as soon as you think, we're getting our offense going, we get the goal, we're only 1 goal away from tying it up, and then Clemson just, like you said, opportunistic, comes in with a good play, and McCall, their leader, he saw that the team was up against the wall a little bit. South Carolina was playing really aggressive, and he just comes through with a huge goal.
Big check there applied by Alec Jarrett. Puck scoots back behind Marquise, just approaching 5 minutes to go here in regulation. Gamecocks needing a couple of scores to tie this one up. Grayson Curry slams it back down to the ice. Now plays it behind Marquise, going after it and grabbing it is Nick Nard-Slicko. Goes up to Patterson, now skipped all the way down behind Kaiser. Icing is called.
That's a guy that I'd like to see get involved in the offense is Curry. He has very good moves with the puck when he has control of it. He's excellent stick control, and he's a guy that can put pressure into the Clemson zone by getting that entrance in by himself and then allowing other teammates to trail behind.
And so the Gamecocks will have to deal with another face-off in their defensive zone. And it skips on behind Marquise. Grayson Curry chasing after it. Curry, very good player for the Gamecocks on the ice here tonight. Bounces it around. Tigers bringing it up in front of Marquise. Skipped on behind to the right side of the net. 4.5 minutes to go here in regulation. Gamecocks potential 3-on-2 here developing. Patterson and Schneider. Schneider moving forward. He has Borst. Goes in front and off the stick of Jared Tallow and behind. Tallow, good stick work to make up for his penalties tonight. I've seen that a couple of times.
These are the kind of plays where South Carolina has to be careful. They've had good offensive possessions, and then it comes down the other way, and Clemson, has really been good about turning the tables quickly.
And shot just skipped across the crease. Clemson controlling the offensive zone. South Carolina is going to have to control the puck here for a grand majority of these last 4 minutes if they want to send this one to overtime. James Hatton can't quite get there in time. Now he's still fighting for it. Puck is played up and stays in. Clemson sends on down back behind Marquise. Here comes John Gibson going after it. Slams it on down. Now plays it across center ice. going after it. Gibson fighting for it. Gibson off to Hatton. Here goes Hatton. James Hatton driving down. Looked for a teammate, couldn't get it there. Now Hatton right to the board, skipped out center ice. Julian DePaulo gloves it down, beats Citron, now fights back. Good job by the Gamecocks controlling the puck here. Kevin Catrone going after it, but the Tigers will eventually get it back in the defensive zone, send forward to Citron. Puck scooting behind Gray Marquis, going after it. Here's Alec Jarrett, sends it down. Catrone checked from behind, now plays it down the ice and into the offensive zone.
In that sequence, South Carolina had a lot of good opportunities. Their guys were getting in there, getting aggressive, playing scrappy and controlling those passes, but Clemson's defense is just sticking right to them.
Neutral zone control by Aaron Beaver. Now he dumps it in and goes down. Under 3 minutes to go, a 2-goal deficit. You got to imagine it's not too long before Gray Marquis heads for the bench. Now, Alan Sirois has been fairly conservative in terms of pulling his goaltender at the end of games, but now would probably not be the time to do so.
2-goal advantage, you know, you're going to probably want to see at least a minute of Marquis off the ice, if not more.
Yeah, I'd say probably 90 seconds at least is what you're looking for. Jared moving around behind and sends it up towards center ice. Tigers will corral it, send back down. Kaiser has to come well out of his crease and now send it along. Gamecocks tried to glove it down, couldn't find it in the air. Another one misses. Kyle Ware at center, and now he'll dump down. And here come the Gamecocks. Aaron Beaver, Ian Schneider going after it. Check that was Brett Topolsky. Now toward the side. Multiple players fighting for it. Kyle Ware just will retreat. Here comes John Ruggieri. Ruggieri fighting hard, trying to sweep in on Marquis, trying to wrap around. Kyle Ware with a big stick, providing a couple of big checks. Now drops Ruggieri, and looks like the back judge is going to come in and call a penalty against Kyle Ware.
Oh, he's not happy about it. He's trying to play aggressive. He's got that long stick. He's got a lot of length, and he was trying to use it to completely shut Ruggieri out. And, you know, he was doing a good job, but he just got a little bit too aggressive. That stick got in there, and I think they're going to call that every time.
Hey, if you ask me, that's a penalty. Interestingly enough, it was the back judge who ruled that. We had two referees a lot closer, and neither one put their hand up on that check. Third one came in, blew his whistle, and sent Ware to the box. So for the first time tonight, Clemson will have a man advantage, and with only 1:53 remaining here in regulation, that will take us to the end of regulation. So South Carolina really at a disadvantage here. They'll need to control the puck and send Marquis to the bench immediately.
The problem is one of their best playmakers is the one who's in the box. You know, he's great on power plays, and it's unfortunate that they can't have him for these last 2 minutes.
Now South Carolina skating it forward. Julian DePaulo hesitating, now swooping it around, now falls, and Clemson going to move the other way. They are 3-on-3 right now. Jacob Tengy will win the puck back from Andrew Rasico and send it back towards center. And now it scoots all the way down to Kaiser. 1:20 left in regulation here. Carolina's got to get the puck, and they got to start taking shots right now. And Clemson really just playing the stall game up behind Kaiser at this point. Tengy comes in. He drops Christian Suda to the ice.
With the man advantage.
Now up in front, Gamecocks with a shorthanded opportunity. Kaiser comes out and snags it. Really good opportunity for the Gamecocks. Had a man in front, but Kaiser was there.
And I was just about to say, Clemson with the man advantage doesn't really feel any urgency to go down and play offense. They're content with just controlling the puck, but they might need to start pushing it down a little bit more in this last minute, because obviously you saw South Carolina can get in there and get aggressive and take it away from you in your own zone.
And so now South Carolina will have the offensive zone face-off. Marquis is on the bench, but it's still a power play for Clemson, so it's back to 5-on-5 with the extra attacker on. South Carolina going to have to be very diligent offensively and defensively for the final 63 seconds of this game. They need 2 tallies. Let's see what they can do. James Hatton on the face-off. He will not win it. Clemson will take it. This is taken by Jared Tallow. Spun around. James Hatton now back after it, fighting hard. Who wins the puck? Gamecocks will take it. And now the Tigers right back, right behind Joseph Kaiser coming around. Hatton looking in front, didn't have anybody there. It was the right idea, did not have anybody there. Nard Slicko chasing it down, as is Dave Cochran. He'll get there first. No chance there for Xander Buttress, who was coming through looking for the hat trick. Couldn't get a shot off. 34 seconds remaining in regulation. South Carolina needs an opportunity now. Wide open shot for Clemson, just scoots wide. Here come the Gamecocks, what could be the final surge of the game. Played it up. DePaulo, center ice, now goes to Tengy. Tengy dumps in. Ian Schneider chasing it down. Here goes John McLeod after it as well. Played up behind. McLeod fighting for it. Clemson will take it away. Sent it up back. Nardslicko popped around. Nardslicko again. He gets checked hard, and Snyder back behind. Ian Schneider trying to get to it. Instead, John Ruggieri will come away with it. Ruggieri to center ice, and time is going to run out on South Carolina here in Greenville tonight. The final horn sounds. It is Clemson 4 and South Carolina 2. The Tigers take the first of a back-to-back doubleheader, with the second game coming tomorrow in Irmo. We will wrap this one up for you folks when we get right back, so stay with us for the post-game show here on the Capital City Sports Network.
Minutes and seconds are ticking away continuously. Your life is draining away. you still fail to realize the power lies in the present. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. You might be aware of the value of seizing the moment, but still, you show no sense of urgency to make things happen. So ask yourself, is this the life you want?
Welcome back to Bon Secours Wellness Arena, everybody. Brett Williams and Michael Duggan here with you on CCSN. Gamecocks dropped this one to Clemson tonight, 4-2 the final score, and really just a story of miscues for South Carolina here tonight.
Yeah, you know, South Carolina didn't play their best game of the season by far, by any stretch of the imagination. They had a lot of errant passes in their own zone, which spells trouble, but Clemson really delivered in capitalizing on those, and it was all the guys we thought it would be. Austin McCall had a goal, Xander Buttress had 2 goals, and Wakeford had the other goal. So the 2 seniors, Wakeford and Buttress, accounting for 3 out of the 4 goals tonight. You know, it's not how the South Carolina fans thought the game would play out, but if you're a Clemson fan or you're a Clemson coach, this is exactly the story that you wanted to draw up, and it's exactly how it happened.
Yeah, certainly with another game coming up tomorrow, exactly what Clemson wanted to do to get this series started. Got to credit their defense, and really, certainly Joseph Kaiser did a great job in goal tonight, but it was really the Clemson defenders prevented a lot of pucks from getting him, prevented South Carolina from getting into really any kind of rhythm offensively, except for that one little stretch in the second period. Mike Borst with 1 quick goal, James Hatton with another quick rebound goal for the Gamecocks. That's really all the offense could speak of tonight.
Yeah, and it was really, you know, South Carolina, they looked good when in the few stretches. You know, there was a little bit in the third and then that stretch in the second. That's where they had the goals, and after the goals is when their offense really got going, when they had confidence, but they just couldn't string together long enough sequences where they were all working in unison together on offense.
So with the game once again coming up tomorrow night, that'll be back at the Plex, so back-to-back series between Carolina and Clemson. What do you think is going to have to be for South Carolina to rebound after a loss like this and try to get a series split?
It's definitely going to have to be the passing. The passing was a major flaw tonight in the offensive and defensive zone. On offense, they couldn't string together long sequences where they had good sets going all the way from back to the blue line into the goal. And then on defense, you just got to control the puck. They got frantic. They were trying to clear it when there was no room to clear, and that was just, you know, hard passes that give credit to Clemson that they were able to control and turn into shots with, you know, good passes of their own right in front of the net. So for South Carolina, you're going to have to really start to hone in on that passing game, and if you're Clemson, you want to keep doing what you're doing. They didn't have their best game of the night either, or
right.
their best game of the season tonight. So Clemson can definitely play better, and if that's the case, if Clemson's going to come out even stronger offensively next week, or tomorrow night, then South Carolina's going to really have to play a top-notch game tomorrow, offensively and defensively.
Do you think that added games that the Gamecocks are going to start to play more regularly going to help them with that rhythm?
I think that'll definitely help, especially playing back-to-back games. They saw the flaws they had tonight. They saw what they did well and what they didn't do, and now they'll have a little bit of time to adjust. Not a long turnaround, you know, no real time to get enough practice, but at least they'll be able to talk about it. They'll be able to, you know, just reconvene and reorganize themselves. That was the problem tonight, is like nobody seemed on the same page in the passing lanes, on offense, on defense. So now they have a game under their belt, you know, only 2 games in 4 weeks. It's hard to expect a team to be perfectly in sync like that. So I think South Carolina is going to come out and play a much stronger game tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe a little time for short-term memory loss as well. We'll see. Gamecocks heading home. Their fans will be there at the Plex and try to help these Gamecocks salvage the series split and improve on the season. Gamecocks drop tonight to 2-4. Unfortunately, we will not be with you at the Plex tomorrow. We apologize for that, but we will look forward to being back with you on Friday the 13th. It's Halloween weekend, but it's going to be Friday the 13th the next time we see you. So I guess we're going to keep it a little bit freaky, but that's okay. That'll be against the Florida Gators. We'll have that Friday night game for you at 9:15, followed by the Sunday morning game, 9 a.m. on Sunday the 15th. Greenville Swamp Rabbits will be back here at Bon Secours Wellness Arena in action this weekend, and Clemson at Carolina tomorrow night. For Michael Duggan, I'm Brett Williams. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight on CCSN. Thanks to John Dowdy, our executive producer, as well as Robert McCachran, Seth Lanford, and Dave Feely for making this road trip possible, and everybody at Gamecock Hockey and this arena for making that happen as well. So for tonight, so long from Greenville and Carolina, forever to thee.